on average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it. Hey everyone, it's Glenn Dichter. Welcome to the Dare Me podcast. We are coming to you live from San Francisco. We are right outside of Oracle Stadium, and we are here at the final show of the Grateful Dead, or Dead and Company, as they describe themselves as now. That, of course, ever since Jerry Garcia passed away. Bob Weir is still in the band, the legendary Bob Weir. And, of course, they've got John Mayer playing that guitar and all the rest of the band. This is the final show of this tour. And as they're saying, the final show that the Dead will ever do. That's a slide from last week's show that we just saw there. That was a gremlin.
Yeah, sorry about that. That just kind of popped up.
Well, hey, since you chimed in, let's bring my boy Dean Baker in from all the way over on the East Coast in Orlando, Florida. There he is live at Post Effects Digital Studios. Hey, Dean, what's happening, bro?
Glenn, great to see you. Looks like you're in for one hell of a concert tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a blast. I was at the show last night, and it was legendary, man. I mean, it really was that good. And so I was a little on the fence about going to the show again tonight. I knew we were going to go live here from San Francisco, but I wasn't sure where. And after being here last night, I said, oh, we got to do the show from outside of the stadium. So I want to put a little disclaimer out there. We kind of feel like we're walking on eggshells with this show tonight with our connection. So hopefully we keep a good connection. It doesn't get choppy or anything like that. And have a good show. We're probably only going to go for about an hour. We're not going to do any news or current event shout outs. So I do got a couple of shout outs I'm going to do in a second, but nothing real in depth like that. But we do have a cool interview we're going to do in just a second. Yeah, it's going to be a good show. So you good on your end, Dean?
Yeah, I don't know if you're either touching your microphone on your earbuds, or because there's a lot of noise, a lot of something being like manipulated a lot, and I could hear microphone noise. So if you're touching the cable, then it's probably making noise. So you'll wanna watch out for that. Anyway, that's fine. Okay. That's fine. It sounds cleaner now, but it just
Well, I actually was holding the tripod because it's real windy here. It's real windy.
I'm getting that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can see, but there is a huge crowd behind me. Whoa, see, there's the wind blowing again. I had to grab the little tripod. What?
I'm gonna play news anchor and said, Glenn, so what's the mood of the public out there tonight?
They might not have nice machinery over. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm losing connection, Dean. Anything can happen live, y'all. We got dogs coming out now.
Sorry.
I mean, literally.
Oh, yeah, your dogs. The dogs came into the shot. The show has gone to the dogs.
Man. Anything can happen live. Yeah, the show's gone to the dogs. But hey, like I said, anything can happen live. Yeah, they're gone now. We're in this little area. Yeah,
I'm gonna play announcer anchorman here. What's the mood of the public tonight?
Oh God, everybody is in such a great mood. There's a good vibe going on. You can just tell if anybody's ever been to a Dead show, you know what I'm talking about. I will say I sense this, maybe it's just me, but I do sense something in the air, if you will. For those of y'all that know me well, know I believe in energy and vibes, and there does seem to be almost this this feeling of it's the end of an era, tonight, because not only is the tour coming to an end, and that's what I started to say earlier, is that the dead shows are coming to an end. But I was talking to my boy Jeremy, who we're going to bring on in just a second. He's literally standing right next to me. I was talking to him last night, and his beautiful wife Katie, the beautiful Katie's here too. Can I show you guys real quick? Yeah. Okay, here, I'm going to turn the camera real quick, Dean. There they are. They're waiting to join the podcast, y'all. We got a nice little spot here. Beautiful, as you just saw. But I was talking to them last night that, this is big business, man. Taking the music out of the equation and the legends, the Grateful Dead and everything. There's like over 40,000 people here tonight. This is the third show in a row. You having trouble hearing me, Dean?
It's just there's a lot of like you're hitting the microphone, so I know you're holding on because it's windy, but
I just moved in. I moved a little to the side, so now I'm not holding it. Is that better? Yeah, I can't hear you now, bro. I think I have to be out here. Okay, now I got you back.
Oh, okay.
Seems like I have to be in this spot for you to pick me up.
No, it was all of a sudden. I think I have a short in my mic cable, and because I moved it into the other room. Anyway.
So what I was saying is that because of the amount of money involved in this tour, we were talking that we have a feeling something of some fashion will continue on, whether it includes Bob Weir or anybody else from the band. Of course, John Mayer, he's going to keep playing, whether he does just his solo stuff or whatever. But as an institution, if you will, this really is supposed to be the last Dead show. Some form of the whole gathering, if you will probably continue on, but that's yet to be, seen or talked about so much. So, but anyway, so that's that. But let's talk a little bit about the Dare Me podcast, y'all, because I always like to do this every show. And I'm just going to do it real quick tonight. And then we're going to bring my friend Jeremy on, who's here. I bumped into him. They're from Detroit. I've known Jeremy since he was a little kid, actually. And now he's a grown-ass man. But I bumped into him last night at what's called the Wharf Rats meeting at the Dead Show, which, if you don't know, is a meeting of people who live clean and sober that get together during the intermission at Dead shows. And, they have basically, it's not an NA or AA thing, but it's very similar to that. It's just people living clean and sober who get together and kind of cheer each other on, encourage each other, and share how grateful they are to be at a Grateful Dead show, pardon the pun, and doing it clean and sober. Because, the Dead always had a reputation of people tripping on acid, and certainly there's those that are here doing that. You can tell, especially when you've been there and done that, you can spot it a mile away, but there's a lot of us that live clean and sober that, go to shows like this. And so anyway, y'all, man, the Dare Me podcast is all about trying to help people struggling with addiction. Really, for me, this last time around, because this ain't my first rodeo living clean and sober, it was all about the opiates. I got hooked on the pain meds, and at the end of it, I was fucking snorting heroin because I'd get dope sick and couldn't get the pills, man. Never thought in a million years something like that would happen to a guy like me, but it did. And now, thank God, I've been clean for, about 2 years and 4 months again. And, man, I hope I never have to live like that ever again. And so through that whole process of getting clean again, I decided I'm going to do a fucking podcast, and put myself out there and see if we might be able to, as we say in the intro to this show, help anyone with the things we talk about on this show. Because when I was trying to kick and get clean, I was looking for information online on Google, YouTube, as I've said on this show many times, and I came across some good stuff. There's good stuff out there, but I never came across like anything like what we're doing. What we're doing is different, and we talk about things you see in them hashtags at the top of the stream. drugs, addiction, recovery, which we've already talked about in just 10 minutes on this show. We talk about enlightenment, we talk about music, which of course we're talking about tonight. We talk about fitness too, if you go to the Dare Me podcast YouTube channel, Facebook page, all the things, we're live right now on like 4 different Facebook pages, a couple different YouTube channels. We're live on Twitter. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Threads. We're on all the platforms. And you go to that Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel, click the video tab. All the episodes are there. I can't even remember. I think this is like the 17th episode of this show or whatever. And we've touched on all those topics. But obviously today it's all about the music and living clean and sober, y'all. So with all that said, that's the purpose of the show. And we just thought it'd be kind of cool to do this edition of the show live here in San Francisco, outside of the very last Grateful Dead show, or Dead and Company, as they call themselves now. And yeah, man, everybody's filing into the Oracle Stadium. That's where the San Francisco Giants baseball team plays. And we are literally out on the street. I'll just kind of give you a view of everything going on around here. It's slowed down a little bit because a lot of people are already in the stadium, y'all. But it was really kind of crowded out here a little bit earlier. So anyway, with all that said, y'all, I'm going to bring in our guest tonight. I'm going to talk to my old friend, man. Well, I don't mean to call you old, bro, but we're going to, yeah, you can sit down right next to me. Let's bring in my boy Jeremy. There he is from Detroit. Yeah, you go on that side. There you go. This is Jeremy from Detroit City. You got to look here. There you go. That's Jeremy from Detroit City. Hey, Dean, I just want to make sure you're picking us up, bro. We good with you, Dean? Everything good on your end in Orlando?
Everything is great, Glenn. Everything's
awesome.
Good on
all right, y'all. So that's our co-host and producer, Dean Baker, back at Post Effects Digital Productions in Orlando, Florida. And we, of course, are live here in San Francisco on the West Coast. Jeremy, thank you so much, bro, for being on the show today. Jeremy, again, as I said, y'all, is an old friend of mine who I've known since he was like knee-high. I originally met his mom, Diana, who also lives in Detroit, at one of the very first NA meetings I used to go to way back in, probably met your mom in like 87, because I first started going to the program in late 86, like November, December. So I probably met her in early 87 at a meeting that was called the Rebirth Group at the old Veterans Hospital near Southfield Freeway and Outer Drive in Detroit. It's no longer there. Now there's like a shopping plaza there or whatever. And now here we are, jump ahead however many years later. If you don't mind me asking, Jeremy, how old are you now, bro?
45 years old.
45 years old. Yeah. And here we are.
I'm sorry, that's a baby. He's a baby in this group.
Dean's saying you're a baby in this group. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, Jeremy, I got to tell a little bit of a quick story that I feel like kind of a latecomer to the party at the Grateful Dead shows. I went to my first Dead show last summer in Detroit at a place, an outdoor theater called Pine Knob. So I'm definitely late to the party, because there's people who are like, followers of the Dead who've been following them religiously, for years, man, going back to the 60s or 70s, And so when I went last year, I went with a group of people from the program in Detroit, and I bumped into you and your beautiful wife, Katie, at the Wharf Rats meeting at Pine Knob. And it's the first time I was ever to a recovery meeting where people live clean and sober at a concert. And it was during the intermission, because Grateful Dead do, they don't have warm-ups. They do a set for like an hour and a half or whatever. They break for about a half hour, have an intermission, then they come back and do another hour and a half or so. So that's where we bumped into you there. And I didn't even know you were there. And I was like, wow, how fucking cool is this? So Jeremy, I really want to hear from you, man. I'm running my mouth like crazy. I'm all wired up being here at the show. So tell us a little bit about, your history with going to dead shows and the Wharf Rats meeting and that whole thing. So
listen, I'm a late bloomer as well.
Okay, speak louder, though, so everybody can hear you.
I'm a late bloomer as well.
All right.
When I met my wife, she had been to a real Grateful Dead show with Jerry Garcia in the late 90s.
Right.
And when we got together, she introduced me to the music. And 2016 came along, and they started touring again with John Mayer. So that's when I went to my first show. I fell in love with it. The music's super bluesy, super chill. And I fell in love with it. So ever since then, ever since 2016, they've been touring every year. They do a summer tour, fall tour, and we've been hitting multiple shows every year. And this was the only year we hadn't been to a show because of some family issues. And we were like, screw it. On Monday, we decided to get some plane tickets, worry about the tickets, the stadium tickets later, and here we are.
And doing it clean and sober. How cool is that? How long you been clean this time, Jeremy?
This is the only time.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I guess I'm just so used because I've relapsed 3 times. So,
I went to treatment in 2004. August 17th, 2004, and I've been clean ever since.
Well, that's fucking awesome, bro.
So that's almost 19 years.
Wow. How cool is that, man? See, it just goes to show, man, you can do this thing. If you're a person who comes across our podcast, as I always like to say on this show, if you're like me and you were looking for information online, whether it's Google, YouTube, how to kick opiates, how to get through opiate withdrawals, how to kick an addiction, whatever it might be, and you just happen to come across our stuff, maybe you're watching live right now. Another prime example of how you can fucking do this, man. You can get through it and live your life clean and sober, become a wharf rat like my boy Jeremy and I, and live your best life, be able to come to shows just like this and have a great time. So that's freaking awesome, Jeremy. Now, I got to tell you, man, you were talking a little bit about the concert, and it is very bluesy. Everybody's vibing and stuff. And, not to make like racial or ethnic differences or anything like that. I'm about the least prejudiced person you would ever fucking meet in your whole life. And anybody who knows me well knows that to be true. What I'll also say is there ain't no black people here. This is all white people. And as I was watching everybody vibing last night, all I could think to myself was, God damn, I love white people, but motherfuckers cannot dance, man. They can't dance.
They have a special way of dancing.
Oh, yeah, they do, man. But it's all good. Everybody just vibing, but all my brother friends, man, y'all can throw down. So I got the moves myself, because I grew up in the hood. I got that ghetto side to me, man. I was taught at an early age, so I'm a good dancer, believe it or not. I really think so. But anyway, it is such a fun time going in the show. I will tell you, y'all, for these shows, the tickets were not cheap, and we even were talking about it. Like, I went to the Claire Rosencrantz show here in San Francisco on Friday night at a smaller hall called August Hall, and I paid $25 for my ticket. And I got into the VIP section. I was like right up at the stage, like 10 feet from her. And it was fucking awesome. Tickets for this show going like rafter seats, minimum of $200 up to thousands if you look on Ticketmaster.
$25.
Yeah, back in the old days in the 70s. Yeah. So, but the thing is if you're willing to wait like till the show, like, I don't know if y'all can hear it. Dean, can you hear the music in the background? Because the show actually started. That is the Grateful Dead you're hearing in the background right there.
I can hear something, but I can't make it out.
Yeah. We're, across the street from the stadium, but the concert started for some reason an hour early tonight. the last because this is the third night here in San Francisco. Last night was originally supposed to be the last night of the tour and last show for the Dead, but they added Sunday night because of popular demand and probably for more money. So tonight's show was added to the bill kind of last minute or late notice, and the first two shows started at 7. But tonight, for some reason, started at 6. But it's all good because, as you can see, it's still light out and shit. And so, it's a school night. Tomorrow's a work day for people. But the vibe, the early part of the show is cool. But I love it once it gets dark out, man. The light show for this show is really intense, wouldn't you say, Jeremy? So, yeah, bro.
It always has.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Jeremy. So we talked about the show and everything, and, the podcast is, again, about helping people to get through addiction and hopefully start living clean and sober. And we talked a little bit about the Wharf Rats. So tell us, for our listeners and viewers, tell us about the Wharf Rats, man, and what your experience has been attending them Wharf Rat meetings at the Dead shows.
Okay, so
remember, speak up so they can hear you.
So my early interaction, super nervous, something new, a new fellowship of people.
Right.
But as I continued to go to shows and continued to go to the meetings, it's like when we're up there talking, I've shared a couple of times, and it's more of like a gratitude meeting.
Yeah.
Grateful for being able to get to a show.
Yep.
Not have to use drugs to enjoy the music.
Yes.
And to share it.
Yep.
With other people. And,
yep.
And that's, I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name is August something.
Okay.
He's the guy who started the Wharf Rats.
Oh yeah. There's a history about it online if you Google it. Yep.
And it's just he created this vibe, this meeting, this platform. People to go to the Yellow Balloon Club.
Yeah.
For people to go during set break or to meet up before, after, and do it without the use of drugs.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Yellow Balloon Club because at the spot where they have the meeting at whatever show it's at, they have a big yellow balloon that they fly so you know where to go to find the meeting. And everybody gathers there, and then they have like little stickers at the table, and it's just a really cool vibe. And another thing about the story, there's a song, and I can't remember it. My memory isn't serving me well right now, but there's a song with a verse in it about a wharf rat and this old dude who was an old drunk or whatever and ended up getting sober. And when that dude August started it, he kind of played off the lyric in the tune Wharf Rat, and that's how they got the name Wharf Rats. And so it's almost kind of a cool, like a little code thing, like
Billy Strings does it too.
Yeah.
Billy Strings has a Wharf Rat.
I've heard that. Yeah, at his concerts.
Places, bluesy.
Yeah, man. How cool is that? And like I said, when I went to the meeting last year, I didn't share at the meeting last night. It was pretty crowded, and I kind of got there a little late. I was having trouble finding it. But anyways, when I went to the one in Pine Knob where I saw you last year, I did share. And the way they did it, they kind of had this balloon that they were just kind of bouncing from, in the circle, and somebody would tap it, and whoever caught the balloon or whoever it went to, that person would share. And sure enough, the balloon came to me. And so I talked a little bit about relapse. I said, hey, y'all, my name's Glenn. I'm an addict. Glad to be here, y'all. And, I never thought in a million years I'd be at a recovery meeting at a rock and roll concert. And everybody kind of was like, yeah, hey, I'm glad you're here, bro. And I just said, hey, man, if you're a person struggling, maybe you're here at this meeting right now using and on dope, but you came because you have a desire to live or get clean. Keep fucking doing it, because that's where I was, Jeremy. I never thought in a million years, bro, that I would go to an NA meeting high or an NA convention high, but I did after I relapsed because I had that desire. Like we say, there's a tradition. The only membership requirement is a desire to stop using. And when I relapsed, man, I knew I had fucked up. you know, and I had the desire, but that shit had me again, you know? And so that was the message I shared at the Wharf Rats meeting last year that, hey, man, if you relapse, pick yourself up, be grateful you're still alive and that you got another chance, because there's so many people that don't get that second chance, man. Especially with all this fentanyl shit out there and everything else right now, man. It's fucking killing people, you know? You use some fucking fake pills or, you know, get some heroin or whatever. You don't know what it's cut with anymore. One fucking dose and you're dead, you know? So, you know, if you're a person like me that had a relapse, maybe you're watching this, wishing you could get clean again, pull yourself through it, you can fucking do it, man. Keep coming back, you know? So you remember me sharing there last year? You probably don't remember what I shared, but yeah. Well, bro, it is such an honor to have you on the show today, y'all. I don't want to go too much longer because, again, we want to get in the show, you know. Looks like we're coming up on a half hour. We're going to keep going for a little bit, but anyways, you know, I just thought we'd have Jeremy on to tell us a little bit about his story. And not to sound too flowery, bro, but I really believe in energy and vibes. And for some reason, bro, our paths were supposed to cross here again. It's like, who would have thought?
From DJ Glenn from Detroit,
Orlando.
I seen him. I was like, what is Glenn doing in San Francisco? I'm in San Francisco. And you were at that other concert. I thought you were here. And then you were at another concert, ended up showing up the next night. It was awesome.
It really, truly is. And hey, I got to send a shout out. I don't know if she's watching live or hopefully maybe she might see this later. I want to say hi to your mom, Diana, who, again, I've known since, you know, like early 87, man. Miss you, Diana. Love you. And oh my God, I just love your boy, Jeremy. You know, this is so fucking cool to be here with him. And I really do, bro. I just believe for whatever reason, you know, we were supposed to cross paths. And, you know, boy, we both come a long way. And remember when I was living in Orlando, you came to the house with that boy, Doug, when y'all rode your motorcycles all the way down. Yeah, parked your trailer there, and you went down. Didn't you guys go to see Vito's celebration? Yeah, he's like an NA legend, this dude Vito, y'all, for those who don't know. And a buddy of ours, Doug H. from Detroit, rode down with Jeremy on their motorcycles, parked the trailer at my house when I lived in Northwest Orange County over there in Wekiva, and then rode down to the Keys, right? So speaking of Florida, y'all, I'll be at the South Florida Regional Convention of NA coming up in, a few weeks. I think it's the weekend of August 13th. So we're going to go live from Miami on that edition of the show, all the way on the other side of the country. So anyway, I got to ask Katie, are you gonna go on with us, or are you being shy tonight? What do you think? You want to come on and say hi?
Just come on and say hi, babe.
Jeremy's telling her to come on and say hi.
Peer pressure.
Okay, all right. She's going to come over and sit next to me. This is Jeremy's beautiful wife, Katie, who I've also known for quite a while from Detroit City, y'all. Here we are, another deadhead. Okay, you got to get closer to me. There you go. There she is. What's happening, Katie? Give me a hug. All right. Oh, that's a real NA hug right there, y'all. So, Katie, tell us about this experience. And, you know, Jeremy told us it was kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision. Any regrets, or are you totally enjoying the vibe here?
I am totally enjoying it. No regrets. There can't ever be a regret of coming to San Francisco the first time.
Right.
And getting to see them.
Well, you told me last night that you got to see The Dead when you were like 12 years old with Jerry Garcia.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Where was it, and what was your memory?
At the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Yep.
That no longer exists.
In Detroit area. Yep.
In Michigan.
Yep.
And I was 12, and my mom said, hey, I have tickets. We're going to go. And so I didn't want to go.
Right.
Because I thought it was a heavy metal thing.
You were like, I want to hang out with all these old folks, right?
No, I thought it was like heavy metal. Like, I don't know, like just not what I envisioned.
Yeah.
And then I got there.
And it was more of that bluesy vibe, like Jeremy was saying.
Smoking the reefer. And there was hippies dancing, and they were selling grilled outside, and I was like, I fall in love.
Yeah, and so you've been coming to shows.
I have
since then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned at that show smoking reefer and everything, which that goes on at all concerts, let alone Grateful Dead. But if I may, I'll ask, you live clean and sober now too, right?
I do.
Yeah, and how long, if you don't mind me asking, you've been living clean and sober?
12 years. It'll be 13 in December.
Wow. See, y'all, how cool is that? So I got to say it again for anybody who may come across this podcast that's looking to get clean, looking for a way out, looking for information like I was, whether it's on Google, YouTube, whatever, and you come across our podcast. Here's another example. Jeremy's beautiful wife, Katie. Look how pretty she is. You're so beautiful. You're a lucky guy, Jeremy. Oh, you are. Well, you are, you know. Oh, but the point I'm making is, you know, anybody can do it, y'all. Anybody can do it. You just got to make your mind up and get yourself through it. And,
one day at a time.
Yeah, say that, Katie. Yeah, you know. So the beautiful Katie and my boy Jeremy joined us live today on the Dare Me podcast. Jeremy, come over and get in the shot, y'all, because I'm going to sign off. And can you kind of get in between?
I have to come back here now.
Oh, of course. Well, we'll sign off together, all three of us. All right. Hey, Dean, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Yeah.
Okay. You had Lori Lee Kutcher. She's been kind of chiming in. She's saying hey, and Shivang is in there. He's saying hey, what's up?
Oh, okay, cool.
Give him some shout outs, and then you can do what you want to do.
Okay, y'all. Dean was just telling me we got people watching live, and there's people in the chat room, and there's people saying hi. So I want to say hi to Lori T. I want to say hi to that boy Shivang. Shivang, I did see you tried calling me earlier, bro. I'm sorry, I was just so busy getting ready. I couldn't take your call. I told my boy Jim Grace I was going to do a shout out from Garden City, Michigan. We talked on the phone today while I was driving, and I told him I'd do a shout out. Any shout outs you got? We did one for Diana, and I want to send a shout out, Shivang. My boy Jeremy, we talked about you last night, man. We did too. We were gossiping about your ass. Get your shit together, bro.
Glenn, look beneath Lori. I put her graphic up on the phone.
Okay, I see it.
You said Lori T.
Lori K. Used to be T. Now it's Lori K.
Okay.
Yeah,
but Shivang, Jeremy, he said to get a hold of him, bro. He's got you. So we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, so yeah, I was going to say I want to send a shout out to that boy Keith, my boy Keith, Diana's husband, you know. And yeah, Keith boy, good to hear you're doing well, man. We were gossiping about you last night too. We went out for dinner after the show, and I bumped into them last night.
Good story about Keith.
Yeah, I did. I went to the World NA convention in Portland back in 1990, and my boy Keith R. and I went together, and man, he tried to quit smoking cigarettes that weekend, and I won't get into the whole story, but damn, he picked the wrong weekend to try to quit smoking. He was cranky, but God bless you, bro. I love you, Keith. And that's a funny story. So anyway, Dean, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up?
You can get clean and stay clean.
Yes.
The younger, the better.
Yes.
You can get clean in your 20s. You can get clean in your teens.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
That's right. That's right.
Get clean, stay clean, and enjoy a beautiful life.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for such a wonderful message. Katie, thank you for joining us. Again, shout out to everybody watching, everybody in the chat. And Dean, anything you want to add before we wrap up, bro?
I hope you don't miss the song, but my favorite Grateful Dead song is I Will Get By.
Oh, yeah, there you go, bro. Well, okay, Dean, thank you again for holding it down in the studio in Orlando. We are live in San Francisco, right outside of Oracle Park, and we're about to vibe to the very last Grateful Dead and Dead and Company show, y'all. So we're going to go. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Dean. Peace.
Have a great show. Bye. Bye. Bye.
we go.
And
on average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish the show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared out here, then it's all worth it. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dare Me podcast. It's your old pal, Glenn Victor. Peace. We're coming to you live from Sacramento, California. Running a little bit behind today. Man, we had a lot of prep for this show today, and a lot of video that we're going to be showing. I think you're really going to enjoy this edition of the program. We are calling it Back from the Dead. If you follow our podcast and you follow me on social media, you know that I took a trip to San Francisco last weekend. I was over there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and wow, what an experience that was. As you'll see if you stick with us and watch this whole show. Went to the Claire Rosencrans and Mayro show Friday night at August Hall. We're going to recap that. We got some shout outs from Claire's dad, Ragnar, gave us a shout out for the podcast we're going to show. Her warm-up performer, Mayro, who's just an amazing performer, such a nice guy. He gave us a shout out for the podcast too. We're going to play that. Then I took a trip down to the notorious Tenderloin District Friday night, which I actually did not plan on doing. That was a spur-of-the-moment trip that we're going to talk about and show some video of. I had planned on going down there Saturday during the day and walking through there with a colleague, a friend, but I didn't do that. After driving through Friday night and experiencing what I did, as you'll see in the video, I said, oh, hell no, I ain't never going back there if I can avoid it ever again in my life. It was really frightening, and I don't frighten easy, y'all. As we say in the name of this program, fucking dare me. And that's kind of how I felt. Dare me to go down to the Tenderloin District. And I did not pick a good time to go. Just after midnight on a Friday night. And it truly does feel like Back from the Dead. I felt like for a short little while there that I was in an episode of The Walking Dead. And we'll talk about it as that part of the show comes up. That was a trip, y'all. The next couple nights were a lot more fun. I went to the Grateful Dead shows over at Oracle Park on the other side of San Francisco. And again, if you follow the Dead, follow the podcast, follow my stuff, you know that that was the end of the Grateful Dead's most recent tour. And as they've been saying, the end of them touring as Dead and Company is what they've been calling themselves since Jerry Garcia passed away. So we'll be showing some video from both inside and outside of both of those shows. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got some really cool stuff that we're going to be talking about and all. So there's kind of an intro to what this show is all about. But I wanted to tell you all that because my poor partner, Dean, let's just bring him right into the show if we can. Dean, you there over in Orlando, all the way over on the East Coast? There he is, Rockstar Dean, and I'll put him through it again tonight. Dean, you haven't even seen it yet, but I put a little video out just letting everybody know that we were running a little behind tonight, and I said, man, I got Dean really working. I said, he probably feels like knocking me out right now, and that's probably how you felt with all the videos. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, Dean. How you doing this week? All right?
Well, it's been a long day.
Yeah, and a long evening too, eh?
Well, my day started about 7 o'clock this morning. So.
Oh, wow.
And it's still going. So.
Yeah. Well,
I just want to say that just to kind of,
This now that we've got all the videos loaded, this should be a fairly, hopefully, easy and smooth edition of the show. We don't have any pictures this week, y'all. I'm gonna talk about one story in the news here in SAC, but we're not gonna do like an in-depth version of the news like we usually do on this show. Just because we have so much video that we're going to get into real quick here in just a second. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, Dean. Once again, everyone, I'm coming to you live from Sacramento on the West Coast. Dean is live from Orlando, Florida at Post Effects Digital Studios in Orlando. And we're going to be talking a lot about everything that I experienced over in San Francisco last weekend. And we'll get started with that shortly. Want to do just a few shout outs before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it. I got to send a shout out to my friends Tyler Ullum, Josh Bidart, who are friends here in Sacramento. And they're both talented artists on their own, and they also have this group, Moving Forward Music. They're like a duo, and man, are them guys talented rappers. They had an album release party for their new album that is out now on all the platforms, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, you name it, Apple Music, whatever. And the name of the album is The Lost Files. And they did an album release party last night at this party I went to. And oh my God, was it a blast. And they must have had a half dozen other artists there. There were a couple of my favorite rappers that they've collabed with. This dude, Mr. G, if you see this, bro, it was so nice meeting you last night. Max 17, who I had met before, was there. They actually did a performance together, the two of them. Met this talented, beautiful girl artist, goes by the name of Spittles. And man, was she spitting last night. She tore the roof off. And old friend of mine, I call him old because I told him I was so glad he was there because he made me feel like I wasn't the only OG. I haven't known him that long, so when I say an old friend, I don't mean that I've known him a long time. He's just a little bit of an older guy like me. Compared to, some of the other folks that were at the party. I met them once last December at another party they had. But anyway, just wanted to send a shout out to Moving Forward Music. Highly recommend y'all check them out. They just released their new album, The Lost Files. We got to go to the party last night. It was off the chain. If you follow me on social media, you can go to like my Facebook, my Insta. I posted a bunch of live video performances that are still on my feed. It was really cool. So shout out to you guys. Had a lot of fun doing that. So anyhow, in the news, there was something really sad that happened here in Sacramento over the past couple of days. We had a couple of fentanyl fatalities. One was a 16-year-old. One was a 46-year-old. And both of them were within just a few miles from me. And it's just so sad, man. It's horrible. This opioid epidemic and fentanyl crisis, it's not going away, y'all. It's not getting any better. I talk a lot on the show about, what goes on in places I used to live, like Detroit and Orlando, Central Florida. And we've talked about other places, too. Certainly, we've talked a lot about San Francisco and California. Haven't talked a lot about it right here in my own backyard where I live now in Sacramento. And yeah, it sure caught my attention. That literally just, I think it was 2 days ago, man, 2 fatalities. One is poor 16-year-old and then a 46-year-old guy. So that kind of brings me to the point where I'd like to recap a little bit of what this show's about, and then we're going to jump right into the videos and start talking about everything from San Francisco last week. We like to do this every week. By the way, this is our 20th edition of this show. I know I do that a lot, but mind blown, man. I can hardly believe we've been doing. Dean, can you believe this is the 20th episode of this show, bro?
Yeah. Every week I answer that question.
After what I put you through tonight, you're probably thinking that's all it's been. Like, Jesus Christ. I appreciate you, bro. I know, and I will tell you, I have a visitor in town. Some of y'all know that boy Shebang. He's in the other room right now on the phone and doing some business, but he's in town, and I want to send a shout out to him. We were up late last night here in the studio. This is a studio I'm in. We got the background behind us, so you can't see everything, but we were recording music. Oh my God, we were in this studio, I think, till like 5 in the morning. And if you follow me when I should have been loading video, so my apologies, Dean. I really did put some shit off to the last minute, but we were recording this song, and if you follow me on social media, it's there. It's an old Rolling Stones tune called Off the Hook. It was released in 1964, so man, it's like 59 years old. I've always loved that song. And after we went to that album release party I mentioned, we came back to the crib, man. We were like antsy and itching to get in the studio, and that's exactly what we did. And so I recorded that song, and credit where credit's due, man. Shebang, he produced the whole thing and auto-tuned it and stuff. I mean, we worked on it together, but he was in the captain's chair. And I was telling Dean, y'all, that I posted that, what we do is we, bounce it as an audio file, and then to try to get around some of the copyright flags and shit, because, we're not trying to make any money or monetize it or anything. We're just having fun. It's like karaoke on steroids and shit. So I try to post it on social media, and, we'll record a screenshot of the audio file. And I've done that many, many times on Facebook with no problems at all. And, man, I put that one up, and within 5 minutes it said it was muted, and boom, boom, boom. So I deleted it, tried it again, did the same fucking thing. So this has happened to me a couple times before. So, one of them guys, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I've done this before. So I uploaded it on YouTube, one of my YouTube channels. They didn't flag it. And so I did post it on, Facebook, Insta. With Insta, of course, put a link in the profile. And it's still there. And last time I looked, it had like about 15 views, so not a lot, but it's there if you want to hear it. And we did a little experimentation with it, man. We did some layers for part of it, and then just a single vocal track kind of in the middle, and some layers at the end. I was really happy with the way it came out. It's kind of weird when you're recording music. Sometimes, the way we're doing it, it'll sound a little bit different over the monitors in the studio, sometimes different over the earbuds or your headphones, different in the car. This one was pretty consistent across the board. And so, again, shout out and big props to my boy Shebang for working with me on that one. I had a lot of fun doing it, y'all. And that's what it's about for me. It's just about having fun, And, I'm not looking to go viral or anything like that. But all in all, I thought that one came out pretty good. So, anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it on that. So let's talk a little bit again about the purpose of this show, y'all. And you can see in the hashtags at the top of the screen Dean's got up there. This show is about drugs, addiction, recovery, enlightenment, music, exercise, which are all hashtags and acronyms for the name Dare Me, which, of course, we have plastered there. That Dare Me name has a lot of different meanings to it. And it initially started with dare me to do this podcast, and then we kind of came up with the hashtags from all the letters in that name. So it really was a thing of dare me to do this podcast. Come out, if you will. I certainly have come out in regards to recovering out loud from the drug addiction that I was in the grips of. I've had a long history with, addiction since I was a younger man. I started partying and using as a young kid, as a teenager, like a lot of people I know, and went on for years. And then, long story short, I got clean, just shy of 25 years old. Stayed clean for almost 17 years, had a bad relapse for about 5, got clean for about 6 again, and then I started using opiate pain medication. Broke my ankle, had a little bout with cancer. Thank God I'm cancer free now for over 6 years. But, I ain't making excuses. I knew better than to fuck with any narcs, with my history of addiction. I never should have done it, but I did anyways. I guess I kind of justified they were prescribed. I did have kind of legit conditions that were painful, so I started taking them. But man, do they work until they don't anymore. When I first started taking them, they made me feel great, like you'll hear most people say, and I loved the way they made me feel, and they definitely helped with the pain. And man, went on a 9-year run, and at the end of it, I was snorting heroin because I couldn't get the pills anymore, and I'd get dope sick. Never thought in a million years something like that would happen to a guy like me, but it did. Like a lot of people I know, actually. I'm very involved with the 12-step recovery programs, NA, AA, fucking A. I'm not a representative for any of them, but I damn sure can talk about them, and I do on this podcast. Grateful to say that I have been clean and drug-free for about 2 years and 4 months. It was 2 years last March 11th. And that was incidentally the same weekend we started this podcast. We didn't plan it that way. It just worked out that way. So anyways, that's really the Reader's Digest version of the purpose of this program, because I do want to get into the videos, y'all. As I mentioned, this is our 20th edition of the show. You can go back and watch all the other podcasts. We've had some great editions, I guess you call them, of this show. We've had lots of great guests on the show, a lot more lined up coming up. Believe me, we got some great guests coming up over the next several weeks and couple of few months. But the point I'm making is if you go back and watch some of the previous editions of this show, you'll definitely hear a lot more of my story, as well as stories of some of the guests we've had having to do with drug addiction, recovery, things we've done to help get clean, stay clean. We do talk about things like enlightenment. We had a whole edition of the show where we had a few guests on talking about that. Certainly, we talk a lot about exercise, because getting back in shape, such an important part of recovery. We've got episodes of that and more to come. And music has been a big one on this show because it literally helped save my life, and a lot of other people I know as well. And so we'll be talking a lot about music today, because that trip over to San Francisco certainly was a lot about going to see some of the artists over there that I did. But again, it'll also be, very eye-opening for you when we talk about what happened over in the Tenderloin district. So anyways, we're on a lot of platforms. In case this is your first time joining us, we're on a few different Facebook pages, few different YouTube channels, Twitter, LinkedIn, the new one, Threads. You get the idea, and we are live on all those platforms. However, and we get a lot of live viewers. I see we got like 10 viewers right now. Peace, and thanks for joining us, y'all. Dean, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the chat. I know we were waiting for that one, video to come in, but I just wanted to see who's in the chat. There's somebody in there. Wake Up with Glendy. Oh, hey, Glendy, welcome to the podcast. Wendy's coming to us, by the way, Dean, from way out in Boston, Massachusetts. So welcome to the podcast, Glendy.
Welcome.
But in any case, just wanted to remind everyone we are on all those platforms. And if you go to the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel, you click on the videos, all the previous episodes are there. Highly encourage you, especially if you're a person looking to get clean like I was when I was kicking. I was looking for information on Google, YouTube, how to get through opiate withdrawals, how to get clean, stuff like that. Found a lot of good stuff out there, as I often say on this show, but I never found anything like what we're doing with this program. At the very least, if you're going through withdrawals and really trying to do it, we can help you kill a lot of time by watching these podcasts with good positive information to put up at the old head. And, we talk about all the kinds of things mentioned at the top of the screen having to do with, getting clean and living clean. So with all that said, Dean, are you ready?
Yes, sir. And I do want to encourage, it seems like we might have some new viewers, but please send us a comment. Let us know you're new to watching the show, and kind of gives us a little bit of, warm heart feedback that we kind of need in a late night like this. I need some real bad. So yes, please give us a shout out. Let us know that you're out there, that you're alive, that you're participating. We want your participation. So ask questions. Hold Glenn's feet to the fire, because I got to tell you, not everything comes out of his mouth should just be taken verbatim. So
yes, absolutely.
So hold his feet to the fire. Chime in if you can, and this makes the show better. Oh my God, it makes it so much better when you chime in. Please don't let me listen to Glenn alone all night long. So
well, it's mostly going to be videos, though.
I
Dean.
know, but I want people to. All right, there's our first comment.
There was Kelly. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Dean. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
All right, so I'm guessing we have good sound. Nobody's saying I can't hear you. So yeah, sure. Let's get on with it.
Okay, well, real quick though, since you were saying all that, Dean, I also want to encourage everybody, if you hang with us, if you could subscribe, like, share, all the things. Look at my sister, or John McCat, just saying poor Dean, because she knows what it's like to deal with me. Hey, Carol, John, welcome Dean. If you're watching the show. So, and then there's that boy, D. Thank you for chiming in, D. So, yeah, man, we got lots of people watching.
How do you say this name? Diarmuit? I'm sorry for
God, I always forget
name.
How to say my boy's name. He's such a nice guy, too, and a great rapper, man. He can spit.
Boyle. I'll just say that name.
Is it Dearmud? Hey, Shebang, how do you say D's name? Dermot, that's it. Shebang just shouted out from the other room. It's Dermot. Sorry,
Dermot. For butchering the name,
I forgot how to say your name. Yeah, I met him in Detroit last summer. He's such a great guy. But anyways, okay, with all that said, y'all, this first video that we're going to watch, and I'm going to go back to the videos now, y'all, so I won't be able to monitor the chat for a second because I just got to remember. Okay, this first video is me. I had arrived in San Francisco. These videos are all pretty much in the order and tell a story of the trip over there, y'all. I think you're going to be fascinated. This is me arriving in San Francisco. I haven't gone to, I'm there. I hadn't gone to any shows yet or anything, but let's just let the video, do the talk for itself. Go ahead, Dean, whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. I'll hit the button.
Hey, y'all. So here I am in downtown San Fran. We are on Post Street right now. And I'm headed to August Hall, where the Claire Rosenkrantz show is going to be starting. She'll probably take the stage in about an hour and a half. And I'm just getting ready to walk up right around this corner. So anyway, just thought I'd get a little footage of this. This part of town is not, anything like Tenderloin. It's still real nice in this area here. I did drive through Tenderloin on the way here, and holy moly, it is like a third world country there, y'all. I'm going to get some footage over there on Sunday that we'll show on the podcast. But anyway, I just thought I'd a little footage here. This part of San Fran is still beautiful. So yeah, there is August Hall right there. What the hell? I'll walk down this way. And probably should have crossed the crosswalk, but I can go up to the next block. And I would venture to say she's probably staying in this beautiful hotel right across the street. But there is August Hall, and you can see the marquee, got a name on it right up at the top. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jaywalk. All right, y'all. More later. Peace. Bye.
Okay, so there's the first video, and I just wanted to kind of give a feel for, walking around in San Francisco, because we've been doing a lot of stories on this show about the bad press that San Francisco's getting. And I love San Francisco. I have a long history with San Francisco. Went there for the first time, God, man, it's got to be, I don't know, 10 to 15 years ago. I could figure it out, but I went to a World NA convention in San Jose, and we ended up spending more time in San Fran than we did in San Jose. We loved it so much. Such a beautiful city with such a great, rich history. And it's been heartbreaking hearing about all the things going on over there that are in the news. And it was nice to go to parts of San Francisco where it's not as bad as the media might lead you to think. You could tell from that video, it was definitely, vibing, thriving in that area. I certainly felt safe there. As you'll see shortly, I did not feel safe in the Tenderloin area, and I'll never go back there ever again unless I
get
have
hungry
to.
every time you say the word Tenderloin.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You better
that's
show me
what they
that
call it.
video so I can kind of, get off that.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that in just a little bit, but that was kind of an intro. I just got to San Fran. Everything was fine. I was having no problems. I was looking forward to going to the show. So now, Claire Rosenkrantz was the artist who I just have totally fallen in love with. That was my third time seeing her. In case you didn't know, y'all, I keep up with all the modern music. I've made a living playing music most of my life since I was, a teenager. As a disc jockey, I had a couple mobile DJ businesses. I played in more bars and clubs than I could even remember. Played music on the radio. I record music now. Blah 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 blah. So I'm kind of obsessed with music, and I certainly keep up with all the upcoming artists. And I discovered Claire Rosenkrantz, I don't know, a couple years ago, I guess. She's a young girl, about 20 years old, and she makes all her music with her dad. And he's closer to my age. He's certainly younger than I am. I'm 61. I'd venture to say he's maybe around 50 or so. I'm not sure. But there's videos out there of her as a little girl sitting on his lap at the piano, and they're making music together. So she's grown up doing that, and she's a huge star now, literally around the world. In fact, the day after the show that I saw her in San Francisco, they took off for Australia and did a couple shows over there. So just a great artist, and I didn't get to meet her because she was really sick for a few months, and I think they were just really being careful, trying not to, get her exposed to all kinds of different people. But her dad came out and met with a lot of people, and he actually gave us a shout out for the podcast that we're going to play in a second. But anyway, so let's play the next video of the warm-up artist for Claire. He is a guy by the name of Mayro, and the dude has millions of viewers on some of his stuff online. And there's one particular video, and pardon the expression, y'all, but the name of the song is Whore. And it's a video that is so deep and intense, and it's all about this girl who commits suicide because she's being bullied, and people are calling her a whore. Looks like a high school girl in the video. Highly encourage you to go look it up. We're not going to play it on the show because time and all that other copyright and all that stuff. But it's very intense and deep. So, of course, he played the song at the show, and that'll be the next video, just a clip of that. And then we're going to do a video of the shout-out he gave us. Mayro gave us a shout-out for the Dare Me podcast, and one of his videos has like 64 million views. So it's pretty cool to get a shout-out from him. So, Dean, let's go ahead and we'll just play those back to back. Hey, Dean, before you play the next one, let me just comment real quick. So you can tell that I was like really kind of far back for that performance. I had, just gotten in there not long before he started, and I was just kind of standing in the back. But you'll see for the Claire show, I got so lucky, man. I ended up in this VIP section off to the right, and I was literally like 10 feet from her at the stage. So those videos will be a little closer. But afterwards, Mayro came out, and he was standing by the merch area and just meeting and greeting with people. So sure enough, I went up, talked with him, got a couple photos, told him about the podcast, asked him if he'd do a shout out, and he said, absolutely, be glad to do it. So let's go ahead and play the shout out from Mayro.
Hey, I'm Maro, and I'm here with Glenn Victor.
Hey, y'all, dude.
Listen up to the Dare Me podcast, where we're looking to save lives and make people appreciate the time that we got here.
Say that, bro. Mayro! All right, thanks, bro. You rock.
There you go. How cool is that? Short and sweet. Told him what the podcast was about, and he's just a great guy, man. Being honest, I didn't know a lot about him prior to the show, and I did a little bit more of a deep dive into his stuff on YouTube, and he does these videos called Alone on a Friday Night, where he just goes on until he runs out of gas, kind of like me with this podcast, where he just talks to people for a couple hours. He plays some music and just got a really cool vibe and just very positive and upbeat guy. Highly encourage you to go check out. And I'm saying Mayro, but how did he pronounce it, Dean? Was it Melro? I don't know. Yeah,
It's pretty close.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to the next video, which is Claire taking the stage. Now, before she comes out, her dad plays bass in the band. You'll see him jamming the bass, and of course, the rest of the band's there. And, it's just a clip of her opening the show with her biggest song, the one that, put her on the map, we'll say. She went viral with this song on the internet, and it's called Backyard Boy. And we have a clip of her coming out at the opening of the show and a little bit of that song. Let's play that one, Dean.
Here we go.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, I was singing along, yeah, But anyway, that was my third time seeing her, and that was by far the best show. I saw her once at House of Blues in Orlando, and I also saw her at Masonic Temple in Detroit, and she was warming up for Alec Benjamin, another young artist I love. He's amazing, and this time she was the headliner, and Mayro was warming up for her. So anyway, she also, coincidentally, that day released a brand new song called Screw Time. And if you haven't checked out Claire Rosenkrantz, man, I just can't say enough about her and her dad, man. She's got so many hits. It was so much fun being there. So anyways, you saw her dad jamming the bass there in that video. And after the show, like I said, Claire, she didn't come out because I don't know what was wrong with her, but she was really sick for a few months. In fact, that show had to be postponed a couple of times. And with her taking off for Australia like the next day, I think they were just being extra careful with her. But her dad was just so cool, taking photos with people. And I kind of waited till the crowd cleared away a little bit and went up so I could talk with him a little bit. And I told him about the podcast, and he loved it, and asked him if he'd do a shout out. And he said, "Let's do it, bro." So let's play that, Dean, and get our shout out from Ragnar Rosenkrantz.
I'm standing here with Glenn Victor, and we're going to all listen to the Dare Me podcast.
All right, it's Ragnar Rosenkrantz, Claire's dead, y'all. Rock and roll. Thanks, bro. Really appreciate it. Oh, you rock.
Of course, man.
How cool is that? Short and sweet, but man, it's just so cool, you know. Like I've said before, no shame here, y'all. I'll fucking name drop on this program all day, every day, and it was just a thrill to meet this superstar. I mean, you know, a lot of people may not know who Claire or Ragnar are, but they're literally internationally recognized artists, and I'm just always thrilled when I get to meet, you know, musicians I admire. Just like last night when I went to that album release party for Moving Forward Music. You know, they're more local guys working, you know, on becoming more well known. But I met that girl Spittles last night. I was like, damn, girl, I feel starstruck talking to you, you know, and that's kind of how I felt at this show. And it was just so much fun. So afterwards, when I was outside of the show, we'll play this next video, and then we're going to go to the Tenderloin. But let's believe me, I had a lot more videos from the show, y'all, but just thought I'd give you a little taste of it. And now let's play the video that I recorded outside of the auditorium after the show. Go ahead, Dean.
All right, y'all, peace. Here I am outside of August Hall. Oh, my God. We just saw the Claire Rosenkrantz and Mayro show. It was off the fucking chain. Got to meet Claire's dad, Ragnar. He did a shout out for our podcast. Got to meet that boy, Mayro. He gave us a shout out too. Didn't get to meet Claire. I think, again, she's just trying to be real careful with her health, because she was literally like out for about 4 months and just got back on tour. A couple nights ago, she did 2 shows in LA, took last night off, played tonight here in San Fran. Now she's off to Australia, so they're just trying to be real careful with her. But great show. And here we are in San Francisco. I'm freezing though. It's cold as a motherfucker out here. So yeah, man, outside of August Hall, great show. Gotta run. Peace. Bye.
Okay, so there you go. So that is a recap of, yeah, you know, the first night there before I got myself into a little bit of trouble, y'all. I should have called it a night right then, but I didn't. I was really kind of, you know, high strung from the concert and wide awake. And, you know, if you know me, I'm a night person and all that. And, you know, this area of San Francisco, known as the Tenderloin District, we've talked a lot about on the podcast. It's been known as a high crime area of San Francisco for years, decades. Every city's got its part of town like that, that's known as being more of a high crime area, whether it's, you know, drug use, robberies, assaults, whatever the case may be. And certainly that's been the case with the Tenderloin District, but all reports you hear in the news, and certainly my firsthand experience now, as you're going to see shortly, is it's worse than it's ever been because of the fentanyl and opioid crisis. There's what they call open air drug use and drug dealing going on in that area, and authorities are getting a lot of pressure to do something about it. We've shared on this podcast that they've supposedly had a crackdown in the area where they called in the National Guard, different California authorities, California Highway Patrol, local authorities, things to that nature to do something about it. And we've been following it in the news here on the Dare Me podcast. And there's mixed accounts. Some say, yeah, it's gotten a little better. Some say it hasn't gotten better at all. I've shared on this podcast that, you know, I'm glad to see that apparently they're trying to do something about it, but I've also said, man, I hope it don't, turn out to be something like stepping on an anthill where, you step on the anthill and then they just scatter and go to different places. And
they
there's some people
while they're doing it.
What's that, Dean? I'm sorry.
On an anthill, they bite you when you do that.
Yeah. Yep. And there's some people who feel like, hey, man, don't make them scatter. At least they're contained in a certain area where it's either easier to keep it in check. I'm not sure. I'm not even necessarily giving an opinion other than that. People are dying from these opioid overdoses, and the fentanyl crisis is out of control. Just like we say in the intro to the show that Dean put together for us, y'all. By the time we finish this program, 8 to 10 people are going to die of an opiate overdose here in the United States, and it's bad in San Fran, y'all. And so, anyhow, with all that said, I had planned, as I mentioned earlier on this show, to take a walk through the Tenderloin District in the roughest areas during the day I was going to do it Saturday or Sunday. I wasn't real sure exactly. But I was, wide awake and, kind of fired up, adrenaline flowing after I got out of that concert Friday night. So I decided to just drive through. I thought, what the hell, I'll go drive through and I actually had to drive through kind of the outskirts of it on the way to August Hall to go to the show. So I got a little taste of it, but that was still daylight hours. These couple of videos we're about to watch now were, man, I'll tell you, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, man. They're like literally after midnight, about 12:30 on a Friday night after midnight. And I don't know, man, it wasn't a good choice on my part. I'll say I broke my own saying, my own philosophy, if you will. I often will say, and I'm sure I probably heard this somewhere before, and I've just always tried to live by it, and I say it a lot, is that I don't look for trouble anymore. It still seems to find me easy enough. And that's certainly what happened this night, as you're going to see shortly when we show the video. I don't feel like I was looking for trouble, but after what happened, I thought to myself, God damn, I really was down there looking for trouble. And believe me, I found it. I was thinking to myself, too, boy, did we pick the right name for this podcast. Dare me, because a lot of people wouldn't be caught dead down in that neighborhood, pardon the expression and pardon the pun. And I just kind of felt like, fucking dare me. I'm going down there to see what it's really like, man. All this shit that's being talked about in the news and all that. I grew up in Detroit. Don't you know who I am and all that bullshit, and I did, as a young kid, I lived in the city, man. I experienced the riots back in, the late 60s firsthand. We lived in the city, we moved out to the lily white suburbs when I turned like 13, but man, I still remember that shit like, yesterday, that stuff stays with you. And I lived in the Metro Detroit area till I was 30 years old. The point I'm making is I'm no stranger to the hood. I'm no stranger to, the street life and all that kind of shit, especially as a drug user, as a younger guy. That shit didn't really frighten me, and I've certainly been to hoods all around the country. Chicago, Miami is a rough, a beautiful city downtown. It's got its rough neighborhoods. I've been to neighborhoods in, Philadelphia, D.C. D.C.'s a trip, man, because you can be, in the historical area around these multi-million-dollar historical buildings, and man, you turn one corner and stray 6 blocks away, you're in the fucking hood, And so I've seen my share of hoods. It not much frightens me. I'll never go back to the Tenderloin District. That shit had me frightened by the time I got out of there. It truly was, like I said, it reminded me of like The Walking Dead, y'all. In certain parts, not like this huge area. There were just certain blocks. I found, and I'm kind of going into this a little bit because I do want to preface these videos because I was on the fence about showing the one. I really was, and I'm still a little self-conscious about showing it, but I just made my mind up. You know what? Fucking dare me. I'll show it. It's actually a little embarrassing because after I've watched it several times, and I even thought to myself, listening to, because you'll hear me kind of narrating the videos, uh, I think I was like trying to convince myself that it's not as bad as it really is. The second video in particular, you're gonna and I may even ask you, Dean, are you able to pause them as we go and I comment on them,
Not the way they're loaded.
Okay, well, I can wait till the end, but there's some things I'll point out about a couple of them. And, I'm kind of dancing all around this, so I guess let's just go ahead and play them, and then I'll comment after. Now, I want to give y'all a little bit of a disclaimer because, there's always some shit in the game, and somebody's going to probably comment or give me some shit after the fact that I am driving and recording at the same time. I assure you, it was done in the safest manner possible. My focus was pretty laser, and I was driving at very slow speeds. I couldn't have been going much more than 3 miles an hour. For a few reasons. You just drive through that area slowly. And of course, I was trying to be very careful. I don't ordinarily do something like that and, record shit while I'm driving. I'm probably about the safest driver you'd ever ride with. This particular little stretch in time, I was recording while I was driving. So just want to put that little disclaimer out there, y'all. Don't think I'm an unsafe driver that rides around recording all the time. That's not how I am. So anyways, with all that said, let's play the first one, Dean, and then we'll pause before we play the second one, and I'll talk about that one. Go ahead. Let's play this one.
Okay, y'all, I'm stopped at a red light here. I'm going to start doing some filming. We are definitely here in the Tenderloin District. This isn't quite as bad as it will get, and even some of the areas I've passed already. We are on Ellis Street, and I'm going to drive up to Hyde, which is literally one of the main roads that goes through Tenderloin. I'm gonna hang a left on Hyde, and we're gonna go right through the fucking heart of it at 12:30, just past midnight on a Friday night, man. So there's a shit ton of homeless set up on that side of the street. I'm sure we're see more as we go, but there's some over there. Certainly don't feel unsafe. I mean, you can see there's businesses, bar, restaurant over there. There's people definitely around on the street. There's street people, there's homeless, but we're not really seeing the worst of it. Okay, there's some homeless tents and camps, and certainly would probably feel a little bit unsafe walking through that stretch at this hour in the pitch dark. There's not even any lights over there. But okay, so here we are at this street, and it's actually pretty dead here. You can see a tent down there. This ain't that bad at this corner, but believe me, it gets bad.
Okay, so that particular video, and also, obviously, there were some mic issues. Keep in mind, I have my my driver's side window down, so you were picking up a little wind, and my audio was kind of going in and out. But you get the idea. That was a approaching, we were definitely in the Tenderloin there, but we weren't in the heart of it. The next video we're about to see, I was literally, you can't get much more in the center. It was literally what's called like Hyde Street, McAllister area. And it ain't pretty. Man, I'm just wondering if I should tell y'all ahead of time what's going to happen and just let you see it. I think I'll just let Dean saying, yeah, just let you see it. Because Dean's seen these videos for the first time too, by the way. So even though you uploaded them, you haven't watched them all, right,
I haven't
Dean?
watched them yet.
Yeah. Well, like I said, y'all, I'm going to give you this just one more time, and then we'll go ahead and play this one. Man, I was really on the fence about showing this because in a way, it's like embarrassing to me that, you know, I really feel like I was trying to convince myself that, man, maybe this ain't as bad as they're making it out to be and everything. And I have quite a few still shots, some freeze frames I took from this video that we might show and talk about on future episodes. I'll point out a couple things. Something that was mentioned to me was some, because I have shared these videos with a couple people. There's people you'll see on scooters, skateboards, and I was thinking they might be tourists who wandered off the beaten path, and it was like, no, Glenn, those are donkeys, you know, they're runners, man, you know. And I thought, oh God. And then there's this one part of this video where there's a bunch of people gathered around, kind of in a circle on the sidewalk. And I thought to myself, you'll hear me say, oh, it looks like there might be a crap game going on there. It was pointed out to me, no, they're probably either maybe cutting up some dope or something like that. I don't know. It might have been a crap game. And then you'll see when I get to this traffic light, I stop at this red light. That is where I really, you'll notice if you listen to my voice and tone of my voice, man, my adrenaline was definitely pumping, and I kind of start talking a lot more, like a little louder and upbeat, and trying to convince myself I was safe and it's all good and shit. And I had to, man, you know, you got to be able to laugh at yourself sometime. And I look back at that like, holy fuck, what the hell was I thinking, man? You know, I'm too old for this shit. You know, that is not me anymore. I had no fucking business being where I was at that hour on a Friday night, certainly. And as you're going to see in just a moment, we're going to show it here, y'all. There were people on that corner that did not like me recording them. Oh, and I wanted to mention this. In that last video, if you were paying close attention, you could hear people were shouting things out on the street. I wasn't picking up on it at the time I was recording, but now that I've gone back and watched them, I really think they were shouting at me like, dude, what the fuck? Don't be recording. And as you'll see in this next video, what had happened to me, what happened to me was absolutely a result of me recording. Had I just driven through, mind my own fucking business, you know, and not looking for trouble, as I said, I think I'd have got out of there okay, but that's not what happened. So with all that said, you know, let's go ahead, give this next video a look and a listen. It's a few minutes long, y'all, and then we'll talk about it afterwards, okay? Go ahead, Dean.
All right, y'all, I am stopped at a light at the corner of O'Farrell and Hyde Street, and I am now about to go right into the heart of the Tenderloin District here in San Francisco that we hear so much about, the notorious Tenderloin District. That has had a reputation throughout the years as being the high crime area of San Francisco. You want to mind your P's and Q's. Lots of crime, assaults, robberies, drug use for years. Now, though, they're saying it's worse than it's ever been. It's gotten out of control because of the fentanyl and opioid crisis. Drug dealing, drug use right out in the open on the streets. Police crack down, as we've been talking about on the podcast for weeks, literally months now. And it is 12:30 on a Friday night right now, and we're driving through the main drag, just getting some footage. And yeah, there's definitely street people, and there ain't no doubt about that. And homeless in different areas. If I was out walking right now, I certainly would be careful. Try not to engage with anyone. Just walk like I was walking with a purpose. Because there's definitely lots of street people around, and you see, but scooters, obviously tourists. There are businesses open this late on a Friday night. Looks like there's a little crap game going on there. Definitely lots of street people here, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's drug use and drug dealing going on there. You know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is, you know. So, like I said, you know, you just gotta mind your P's and Q's. Like there's a boy Gordon, you know what I mean? You mind your P's and Q's like in any big city in any part of town. I get it, you know, especially for like conservative people who've never lived in the city, maybe come here on vacation and see this shit. It freaks them the fuck out. But this is real life. I mean, you know, like look at that. You know, you can see there's all kinds of shit going on over there, you know, and there's stuff going on. So yeah, you just gotta be careful, man. You gotta be real careful. This is not an area where I would fucking want to hang out. Holy fuck, did y'all hear that? Look at that. Somebody threw a motherfucking rock at my fucking car. Here I'm talking about minding your P's and Q's, and somebody, one of these motherfucking street people motherfuckers just did not like me filming apparently, threw a fucking rock at my fucking car and broke the window. So yeah, man, here I'm talking about, maybe it ain't as bad as everybody thinks, but they clearly did not like me being in that fucking area filming and shit. Holy fuck. All right, I gotta get off this phone for a minute. Holy fuck.
So yeah, there you go, man. Oh my God. Well, I know you're dying to say something. Too bad we couldn't hear our mics
on that one. I didn't have I would have loaded it differently so we could have engaged it. But man, I'm looking at it. I'm hearing your voice, and I know you're getting a little higher pitched, talking a little faster, looking around a lot more. The camera work, you know, the camera alone is getting a little more manic, and then you're at that light that seemed to take forever.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God,
yeah. Well, and if you noticed, when my window was broken, there was a little bit of a delayed reaction to it because I couldn't believe, like, no way, that couldn't have fucking happened to me. And I look around and it's like, holy fuck. And so, like I said, you know, we can go back and maybe revisit that down the road on another episode. But like I had mentioned previous to showing the video, there was some shouting in the background. But like you said, I was preoccupied because my adrenaline was flowing, man. There was some shady shit going on all around me. I was certainly aware of where I was. So although I heard this shouting going on around me, I had no fucking idea what they were saying, and didn't really dawn on me that they were shouting at me. And I was watching that video with that boy Shebang yesterday, and we did kind of pause and rewind it a couple spots, and it seemed like we could make out the word recording. And I'm almost certain they were saying, you better stop recording, because, and then I said, I did some freeze frames where there were a couple guys on the left of me, not where the big crowd was, but the other side of the street. Those guys were clearly drug dealers. And, you know, and the freeze frames we got, they were looking right at me. You couldn't really tell from the video because it's moving along and you're trying to take in all the shit. But with the freeze frames, they were looking right fucking at me. And, like I said, bro, I had no fucking business there. And I went against my own philosophy of don't look for trouble. Still finds me easy enough, man. And, I put myself in the shoes of a drug dealer. Some fucking old skinny ass white dude comes driving along and starts recording me on the fucking street corner. I probably wouldn't be too happy about being recorded either. So, what I'll tell you, Dean, if you notice, after I realized my window was broken and I started talking about it, it even caught me by surprise when I went back and watched it that I was chuckling. Because I was telling a couple people that I'm fucking grateful that that's all that happened. Because think about it. That rock could have hit me in the head. My driver's side window was open. That fucking rock could have hit me in the head. And furthermore, that could have been a bullet instead of just a rock, because there's shootings that go on down there all the time. So that rock could have hit me in the head. It could have knocked me out. I could have fucking been knocked out at my steering wheel right in the middle of the intersection of the worst part of the Tenderloin district. I mean, you see shit like this. They could have ran up on my car, opened the door, dragged me out, knocked me on the pavement, hopped in my car, drove away. What the fuck? I mean, that might sound a little dramatic, but it could have happened, and it does happen. And, and then, even to a lesser extent, that fucking rock could have hit the side door of my car or something, put a big dent in it, It cost me like $250 to have that window replaced. I mean, it was a bitch driving home that night. I had to find a gas station, vacuum all that fucking glass out, taping plastic over it because, I got the window replaced, his window company literally came right to my house, replaced the window. They were done in an hour, but that's beside the point. The point I'm making is, man, oh man, I want to hear what you want to say, Dean, because I can see you're kind of biting at the bit to comment, but I just want to say again, I feel like I was trying to convince myself that it isn't quite as bad as everyone was making it out to be. And then as I learned, as it really is, exactly what we've been reading and hearing in the news is absolutely going on there. Drug dealing and drug use, what they call open air drug dealing and drug use, is absolutely still going on there. And that big group of people we saw in the couple clips I showed of there, that's where I say it felt like The Walking Dead, because you couldn't maybe tell as much as I could seeing them in person from the video, but there were people just like literally, wobbling back and forth and walking from one side to the other and all. And man, it was an experience I'll never, ever forget. And like I said, y'all, I don't frighten easy, but I have no desire, no interest at all whatsoever in the world to ever go back there again. I saw what I needed to see and plus some, and man, scared the shit out of me. So yeah, if you ever go to San Francisco, there's nice parts, but I don't recommend going down to the Tenderloin. And be careful too. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going on here, Dean. Be careful because just like most big cities, you drive around in the downtown area, there's a lot of one-way streets, and it's easy to get lost. And the GPS goes haywire in downtown San Fran, just like it does in a lot of other cities, and you could very easily find yourself down in that area by mistake. And so if you do, don't fucking do what I did and start recording and shit like that. Because that, like I said, that was my big mistake. Had I not been recording, I think I would have been able to pass through with no problems at all. If I'd have just, I use that phrase a lot, mind your P's and Q's. That's like my buzz phrase I'm trying to stop using so much. But if I'd have minded my own fucking business and just got the hell out of there, I probably would have been fine. But, dumbass Glenn, had to go fucking record him. And that was kind of my intention, was to go over there and get some footage to show on the podcast. But that's the last footage you're getting out of your old pal Glenn from the Tenderloin. So anyway, Dean, with all that said, man, it looked like you wanted to make make a few comments. Tell me what you think. Was I that stupid to go over there? What do you think?
Well, I do recall a week ago mentioning something about, being a little careful, but clearly
you and a couple others.
Kelly said something interesting. I'll put it right up on screen.
Oh, glad you were not hurt. Oh my Christ, Glenn. Yeah.
Love that reaction.
Yeah,
and then glad you're not hurt.
Saying,
and then so glad you got out of there safely. One of the things as a 35-year veteran camera operator. Yeah. Especially when you're shooting news, if somebody doesn't want you to be shooting it, there's a way to shoot somebody that they really don't know that they're being shot.
Yeah.
But you can't do it with a cell phone. You just can't do it with a cell phone. Cell phone's all about, everybody knows what it looks like, knows what you're trying to do. And how many social media videos do you see somebody shooting somebody else just to get a rise out of them? Everyone's locked and loaded when they see someone recording somebody. And this is in the normal areas. You're walking out of a grocery store and you see a mom yelling at her child, and then you start filming it. You'll see a whole new side of that person coming at you. So you kind of know what happens. That cell phone is like waving a gun around at people. They don't want it. They don't see it. So as a camera guy, you kind of you think about that, because back in the day we had a big ass shoulder camera, whole rig.
I remember.
And you can't just hide that stuff. In fact, when someone would say, "Hey, stop recording," then we'd take it and then we'd hang it down by our side like we're carrying a shoulder bag or something. Of course, the camera's still rolling, only we're just pointing the lens up from our hip, and people just don't know. They don't understand. They don't get it. There are times I'm out in the field, I've got a camera on a tripod, I want to get a shot of something, and I don't want maybe I'm shooting somebody's property, and of course they see me. But I set the camera up and on the tripod, I hit record, and I walk 10 feet away like I'm thinking about something. Meanwhile, that camera's recording. They're watching me, not the camera. They think if I'm there at the camera, there's just a million ways you can film without being caught filming.
Well, you and I even talked, Dean, about, and I'm going to invest in getting a GoPro. And see, that was my plan. Like I said, this was not a planned trip through the Tenderloin. I just decided, kind of spur of the moment, fuck it, you know what? It's Friday night. I'm just got out of the show. I'm wired up. Let me just go drive through, see what it's like. My original plan was to walk through there during the daytime on foot with, you mentioned, you kind of told me, be careful. I had a couple other people tell me that. A buddy of mine here in Sac, Dave, said, "Hey, Glenn, man, you better really be careful over there." He goes, "I've been over in that area." He goes, "Tell you what, I got a buddy, is a guy from the program, an NA guy." He said, "I got a buddy that lives over in that area, man. Let me give you his name and number. You give him a call. He'll go walk with you." And I was going to call him to, say, "Hey, bro, Dave told me to give you a call. Let's walk through there together Saturday." And then that's why I say I was going to use a GoPro. But after what happened to me Friday night, I was like, fuck that. Ain't going back there ever again. Daylight, I don't give a fuck.
I'm sure daytime would have been a whole different.
Yeah, and I'm sure it probably is a whole different
cleared out, and business is open, and and in fact, the GoPro doesn't automatically guarantee no one's going to.
Well, you're right. It's just easier to camouflage.
Think you're filming them, but GoPro is small enough to fit in a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And you just cut a hole in the right spot, and people think you're just carrying a pack of Luckies or pack of Marlboro, and they have no idea that you're actually walking around recording. So there's if you're really trying to do this and get some, clearly you just have to be completely under the radar. You cannot be
in there.
You have to walk with a purpose, like you're getting from A to B. When you start a linker, and if someone didn't chuck a rock through your window and you drove around the block another time, then there probably would have been a group of people waiting on you the second time around. Because that's what they're doing. They're casing you, because they don't know if you're a customer. They don't know if you're their competition. They don't know if you're a cop.
Yep.
You know, they sure as hell don't think you're a podcaster, but that might cross their minds. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just there's better ways of doing how you did it, and
absolutely
might have saved you a few $100 window, but you know, did you keep the rock? That was my big question while you were talking. I asked you, did you find the rock?
No.
That they threw?
No, I
did
not.
No.
Nope. It must have, like, after it hit the window, bounced off of it.
Probably didn't come through. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what, Dean? You reminded me of two stories I want to tell, and I want to say that, and I mean this sincerely, bro. I really appreciate your input, and it reminded me that you do bring a unique perspective to what we just watched, being a cameraman the way you are. And one of the stories that you've been for, more than half your life, is what you do. And so it reminded me of a conversation you and I had not long ago. And this is the saddest goddamn story, man. There was this young kid who was a reporter for a television station I used to work for in Orlando, Central Florida News 13. And he was a well-respected young guy, UCF grad, and he was working for the TV station, and they were covering a murder. And I say they because it was him and his cameraman over on the west side of Orlando. Which is kind of Orlando's Tenderloin, if you will. It's called the Pine Hills area. And, with all respect, people that live in Pine Hills, I have friends that live in that area. It's had a bad rep from back when I moved to Orlando back in 91, and I lived there for 30 years. And people, as you know, Dean, call it Crime Hills. Yeah. It's the west side of Orlando, and it is considered the high crime area, and certainly an area where you want to mind your business, all hours of the day, but especially at night and on the weekend. Well, it was broad daylight, and this poor reporter and, his cameraman were sitting in their car not far from where the crime scene was. And the suspect, who had just killed a mother and their child, walked up to this news car and shot the reporter and killed him. Man, I'm trying not to get filled up talking about it because I got emotional when that happened. Like a lot of people I know did, and God bless, his family and everything. And I think it hit me hard because, first of all, I worked in the news media, in Central Florida for 30 years. I worked with so many reporters, as you know, Dean, and was a reporter myself. And worked the desk at Channel 13, where I would send reporters to different, crime scenes or assign them different stories and things. And so it reminded me of that. Here, this poor guy was just sitting there writing up, his story in the car, and his cameraman was with him doing what they doing. And minding their own business, they weren't in the act of recording anything like I was at the Tenderloin, and he got shot and killed. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? And then another, so not to compare apples to oranges, don't mean that disrespectfully in any way, it just made me think of that story. This guy was shot and killed for just sitting in his news car with his videographer. And Dean, if you remember, I thought to myself, we talked about that afterwards, and I said, oh my God, Dean, how many shoots have we been on together where, we weren't in a marked news car, but we certainly filmed a lot of different things, over the years we were doing that TV show together and all, where it could have just as easily been us. Somebody could have walked up to the car and just, And then it reminded me of another story. When I was quite a bit younger, man, in my mid-20s, I worked at a radio station, the all-news radio station in Detroit, WWJ. And I worked mostly on the news desk there. I was a news producer, assignment editor. I did some reporting, but mostly as a producer and assignment editor on that particular gig. I worked there 2 stints. First time was a couple of years, took a break for school, went back for a year, what have you. Friend of mine, who I'm still friends with today, haven't seen him in a while, but a friend and a colleague by the name of Ken Rayback. And I know certainly he wouldn't mind me, give him a shout out on the podcast. He and I worked at the radio station WWJ in Detroit together. He actually lives in Central Florida now. He's been there quite a while. And just such a great guy, musician, has a history with addiction counseling, and just an all-around great guy. Well, in any case, he was working as a news reporter at WWJ. This was definitely back in the mid to late 80s. He chose to leave that job and leave the city of Detroit and move back to Central Florida. And we'll tell you the story of when he had an aha moment. And I know I'm kind of going off on a little story here, but it all ties into this. We sent him out to cover a shooting at a gas station in Detroit. And the way he tells the story, as I recall, and Ken, if you see this, I'd love to have you on the show sometime. I really would. He'd make a fascinating guest. He goes into this gas station, and it was one of those small ones, where they just kind of have this enclosure, in the middle of the pumps or whatever, not like a big convenience store like they have now, at most of them. But he went in there, and there's a guy laying on the floor in a pool of blood that literally was shot in this gas station. And Ken said he went in there to cover the story and, get interviews, whatever the fuck. And people were coming in there literally stepping over the body, just nonchalantly oblivious to it all, to pay for their gas. That's how, almost like immune to it all that people, I guess, kind of sort of had become in some of these areas. And again, I'm paraphrasing, and Ken, if you see this, I apologize if I'm maybe leaving some things out, but, the way that I recall him telling the story that was his aha moment, where he said, what the fuck am I doing here? Oh, my God. This is not how I want to live. He had a passion, obviously, for being a news reporter. And man, did we used to send some of those reporters into some rough areas, of Detroit. But that was his wake-up call, where he said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's when he decided, he didn't do it that day or the next day or whatever, but the way I remember him telling the story was that's when he decided, I've had enough. I'm not doing this for a living anymore, and I'm getting the hell out of this. And that part of the reason I tell those two stories, and specifically the one I just told, is because that's kind of what I was reminded of and how I feel, having gone down to the Tenderloin district and experiencing what I did, and literally feeling like I dodged a fucking bullet, a narrow escape. Because I'm sure, if you go back and watch this podcast and rewatch that video a couple of times, you'll think to yourself, oh my God, like Kelly said, oh my Christ, Glenn, I watch it and go, oh, Jesus Christ, that could have sure turned out a lot worse than it did. What the hell was I thinking? Obviously I wasn't thinking that great to go down there at that hour and be recording so blatantly obvious, I like to say, man, I'm a pretty smart guy when I got my head on straight. I'm an educated man. Clearly, I did not make a very smart choice there. And so, hey, man, I'm a humble guy. I'll acknowledge I made a big mistake there. And where I was going with that is my fucking wake-up call, a la Ken Rayback going to cover the shooting at the gas station in Detroit, where people are just nonchalantly and casually stepping over a body in a pool of blood to pay for their gas. No, that's not who I am. I lived in rough parts of town and different cities. I've hung, as I sometimes say, and I've said on this podcast, I've partied with the best on Park Place and Park Bench. And when you're a dope user and a drinker, you usually experience both. For some weird reason, I always seem to have felt a little more comfortable partying with the people or using with the people on Park Bench. And sometimes when you come around the 12-step programs, whether it's NAAA, fucking A, whatever, as I often like to say, people like to come into rooms and act like they all motherfucking gangster. Oh, man. And there's that old saying, people like to tell war stories and play this game of can you bottom this? Like, well, shit, I was worse than you. I used in the hood and I did this and that. And, man, you get the idea where I'm going with it. I think sometimes that mindset creeps back in with me. And like I said, the name of this podcast is Dare Me, and I'm reading all these stories about all this shit going on in the Tenderloin. We're playing news stories, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, fuck, I grew up in Detroit. I'll go down to fuck Tenderloin. I want to see firsthand what the hell's going on. And no, man, I ain't doing that no more. Not only do I feel like I want to avoid the Tenderloin, I want to avoid any of them kind of fucking hoods, you know what I mean? What the hell? I'm a grown-ass 61-year-old man who feels like he's living on borrowed time, and I truly am, man, having survived the addiction a couple of times that I've made my way out of, thank God, health scares and everything else, and yet I go put myself in danger like that. Yeah, I wanted to bring something interesting to the podcast, but it also made me think to myself, and revisit the purpose of this podcast. The main purpose in my mind is I'm trying to help people, y'all, because when I was kicking dope and trying to get clean, like I've shared on here many, 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 many times, if you follow our stuff regularly, I was trying to kick for a long time before I was finally able to. And I was looking for information online about how to do it. I was Googling shit, looking on YouTube, and I found videos and different things and helpful stuff. And that's when I thought, man, I'd really like to do something unique that might help people. And I just kind of feel like I strayed away from that a little bit. Me going down to the hood, whether it's Tenderloin or any other fucking hood, is not the purpose of this podcast, to show you firsthand whether there's really drug dealing or drug use going out on the streets, Yeah, I lived what I try to think in my mind, that ghetto ass lifestyle, that gangster, oh, I'm a badass, as a younger man. I don't want to live like that no more. So why would I fucking go revisit areas like that? I got no business in areas like that, And that's not me being negative or critical toward anybody. I get it. People struggling in different areas and parts of town, socioeconomic shit. I ain't getting into all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, man, for me to have survived the things I have in my life and reached the point I have, that part of my life is behind me, man. That shit's over, I need to, I got a couple of kids, man. I hope to have grandchildren someday. I want to be around to see that. So, man, it's a rough fucking world out there as it is without me putting myself in situations like I did. And so I'm just grateful to have survived it. I hope y'all enjoyed watching the videos I took, and if you're a person who comes across the recorded version of this show, I hope maybe, it's helpful to you as a learning experience, that you don't want to end up like that. Because you know what? A lot of those people we saw on the streets there, those homeless people, they very well may have come from, higher income neighborhoods, good families, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of people that who live in nice areas and come from, good families and shit, who may see something like that and say, oh, I'll never end up like that. Oh, that'll never happen to me. And I've learned to put a yet on the end of that, because I never thought in a million fucking years I'd ever snort heroin. But I got dope sick when I couldn't get the pills that I got hooked on, them goddamn opiate medications. And the dope man, you will make connections if you get hooked on that shit. Would say, hey man, we ain't got the pills, the good, as I often say, but this will hold you over so you're not sick till we get something else. And as we all know, that shit's all laced with fentanyl now and trank and every other goddamn thing under the sun. Who knows? So point I'm making is you might not think you might end up in one of those groups of people down there in the hood, whether it's Tenderloining or anywhere else. You get hooked on that shit that bad, it very well could happen to you. So I've been taught in the programs I'm involved in to put a yet at the end of it, yeah, that may not be you yet, but you keep fucking up and keep using, that very well may happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't. So, anyways, y'all, I want to move on from that. I want to put that fucking shit behind me. Oh my God, I hope I never forget it. I hope I never forget that experience because it was a learning experience for me. And I'm sure you'll agree if you're following along that, man, I'm very lucky and blessed that I got out of there in one piece, and all I have to really complain about is that I got a fucking broken window that I had fixed a couple days later for a couple of $100. It could have been a lot worse, y'all. So yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can just to, a wake up call for me. Like I said, a big wake up call. To just try to live as safely as I can in my day-to-day life and go back to what I was saying has been my philosophy for a long time now. I try not to look for trouble no more. Like you just saw, it still seems to find me easy enough. And I don't need to be in no areas like that looking for trouble. I'm going to try to stick to the knitting, as the saying goes. And, I definitely like doing stuff from the road and showing different videos and footage. We got some other trips coming up where we'll go live from Miami and supposed to take a trip up to Mount Shasta here soon. I'm going to be in Detroit over the summer. We'll do, definitely keep doing, live shows from other cities around the country and playing videos and stuff. But I'm going to try to stay out of the hood. Okay. I think we can still, do what the purpose of this podcast was and try to help people without making trips down into areas like that, because they're everywhere. Not to keep going on, because I do want to transition into the next stuff. But I mentioned my friend Shabangs here. We were just watching some stuff on YouTube yesterday about because we had been talking about this, and he watched the videos, and so we were watching this stuff on YouTube that he had pulled up of what they call the no-go zone. This guy does these videos. If you've seen him on YouTube, there's a shit ton of them out there. In fact, he did one about the east side of Detroit. We watched one in Haiti, one in, oh God, there was another place I'm trying to remember. But there's all kinds of videos out there about the hood everywhere. It's everywhere you go. I don't care what city, what country. It does happen to be pretty bad in that Tenderloin district, but if you want to find trouble, you can find it anywhere you go. Today I'm deciding and choosing not to look for trouble no more, y'all. So anyway, like I said, let's move on to the next video. Let me pull it up here, Dean, if you're still with me over there. I know you got a close-up on me as I wrapped up that topic, but let's see. The next video is the rest of this show will definitely be more of
I think we're in the dead now.
Yeah, this is the first day at the Grateful Dead show. So let me kind of intro that. So in case you didn't know, and I just thought that the name of this edition of the show, Back from the Dead, boy, was that a play on words that just seemed to fit so well, because, what we just saw in the Tenderloin, like I said, they're in that one area, man. It felt like I was in with the Walking Dead, and Back from the Dead. Well, coincidentally, last weekend was the end of the Grateful Dead tour, or Dead and Company as they call themselves now, since Jerry Garcia passed away. But basically it's a Grateful Dead gathering of all these people. And it was not only the end of this particular tour, but it was also billed as the very last Dead and Company shows. Now, we got lots of video. This is going to be fun to show these, y'all. It really is. And I showed the Tenderloin thing when I did because I'm just kind of showing everything in the order that it all happened last weekend and in the order I filmed them. So this is actually now the next night after, you know, everything we just showed with Claire Rosencrantz show, Mayro, the Tenderloin thing. Now it's Saturday, early evening, late afternoon. And I am outside of the very first Grateful Dead show because there were actually 3 shows. There was one Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. But as I mentioned, I went to the Claire show on Friday, so I was out there Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday, I did go inside and was at the concert. I bought a nosebleed seat online off of Ticketmaster. And I did go to where my seat was. I didn't actually go to the seat, but I was up, you know, in the rafters. And then I just slowly made my way all the way down to the field, right before this area where you would have to show your ticket to get, you know, into the pit area. And it was totally fine. Nobody gave me a hard time. I just walked freely right down there. So that worked out great. So we're going to go into some of the videos, y'all. As you'll hear me talk about in a couple of them, I feel like I was a latecomer to the party. I talked about this on last week's podcast. And by the way, if you didn't see last week's podcast, highly encourage you to go check it out because we went live right outside of Oracle Park on the second night of the Grateful Dead. It was the last show that they say they're ever going to put on together as the Dead and Company. And we had a couple great guests. I bumped into a couple of friends of mine from Detroit who happened to be there, Jeremy and Katie. And we met up at what's called the Wharf Rats meeting, which we're going to show a video of here shortly. So kind of going on and on about it, but it was just an amazing experience. You know, like most people, I've heard about the Dead for years. You know, being a little bit of an older guy, I remember them from back in the 70s, and they've been around even in the 60s. And you know, Dead shows have a reputation of, at least my experience and my memories have always been that they have a reputation of a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people there tripping on acid and, you know, just dancing and vibing and all that stuff. I'd seen videos like everybody else over the years and heard all the stories, but I never went. Until last summer, I was invited to go with a group of people that I know from the program that live clean and sober. And I went to a show at a place called Pine Knob, which is an outdoor theater outside of Detroit. And man, I had so much fun and met a lot of great people. And so with them being so close to where I'm at here in San Francisco for this final weekend and this, you know, what they called the final tour and the final show, I said, you know, I really want to go. And so I did. And so there again, that name Back from the Dead, you know, kind of tied into the whole Dead and Company and Grateful Dead thing too. So with all that said, we're going to watch a lot of fun video, you know. And Dean, why don't we go right into the next video now? This is the first night that I was out there outside of the show.
Hey, y'all, peace. It's Glenn, so here I am outside of Oracle Park in San Francisco, getting ready to go into the Grateful Dead show, or Dead and Company, as they call themselves now, since Garcia passed. End of the road for this tour, and this group, this is their final weekend. They have a show tomorrow night, and then they're done. So, about to go in, y'all! Talk to you in a bit. Peace. Bye.
Okay, so that was short and sweet, and then all these next videos are pretty short and sweet. We got a couple that go about 3 to 5 minutes long that I think you're really going to enjoy. But let's just kind of go through some of these. This next one, Dean, was let's see,
inside day one.
Yeah, this is inside. This is when I got to that. I told you I had a nosebleed seat. I didn't actually go to the seat, but I was up on that like tier, and I was just walking through the crowd, kind of just holding my phone as I walked. So give you a feel for what it's like being at a Dead show, even way up in the rafters, in case you've never been to one before. It's just a really smooth and mellow vibe. Check it out. Okay, so, you know, obviously that video, there wasn't a whole lot to it, but I did think I'd just show where I initially went when I got inside the stadium, and I was way up there, and you could see that place was packed. And the way that the Dead do their shows, they don't ordinarily have a warm-up group. They do one set for maybe an hour and a half or so, and they started at 7. While it was still light out, at least they started at 7 that night. They started an hour earlier on Sunday. Then they take a half-hour intermission, and then they come back and do another set after it gets dark out and have a really cool-ass light show. Well, during the intermission, which is going to be the, and by the way, like I said, you'll see some video coming up after it got dark out where I went all the way down to the ground level. So that was video while it was still light out and before the intermission, where you could kind of see how crowded it was there. But the next video, let's see, yeah, is the Wharf Rats video. So in case you don't know about the Wharf Rats, I found out about them and learned about them last summer. It is a group of people that go to Dead shows, whether it's, you know, randomly or on a regular basis, who live clean and sober. And it was all started by a guy who, you know, was in recovery, used to get high and use all the time. And apparently there's a tune that the Grateful Dead did, Wharf Rats, and it's all about this, or Wharf Rat, I guess, all about this guy who was an old drunk and ended up getting sober, and there's like a whole story it tells. And so this meeting was started that's conducted during the intermissions at the Grateful Dead shows called the Wharf Rats. And people who live clean and sober gather during the intermission. And it's not an NA thing. It's not an AA thing. It's no 12-step thing. It's just a, you know, like it's very similar recovery type meeting of people who live clean and sober who get together at intermission at a rock and roll concert where there's people tripping on acid and using all around you to just kind of, you know, I guess like encourage each other and be each other's biggest cheerleader to, hey, keep it on, man. And, you know, you can do anything you want and go anywhere you want living clean and sober, even a Grateful Dead rock and roll concert. And they fly this big yellow balloon up in the air so you kind of know what to look for and how to find the meeting. And I went to my very first one last year, like I said, up in Detroit. So, of course, I wanted to go to the one in San Francisco, and I ended up bumping into two friends from Detroit. How fucking bizarre is that? So I have a video of my friend Jeremy and Katie, who were guests on the podcast last week, by the way, so I highly encourage you to go back and watch that. It was such a fun show to do. But we also did a little video clip from the Wharf Rats meeting. So, Dean, if you want to go ahead and play that one, we'll give a look and a listen to my short little interview with Jeremy and Katie.
All right, y'all. Hey, we're out here with my boy Jeremy. Check it out. I come to the Dead show in San Francisco, bump into my boy Jeremy from Detroit City, who I've known since, I hate to say it, bro, since you were knee-high. I know your mom when I first got clean. Oh, God, 37 years ago. But, man, that's the Wharf Rats meeting going on behind us. And I attended my first Wharf Rat meeting with you, bro, last summer at Pine Knot. You remember that? Yeah. So tell us what you're doing here, man.
tell all our listeners and viewers on the Dare Me podcast what you guys are doing out here.
Wharf Rats.
Yeah.
So this is a meeting of all people in recovery for the Grateful Dead shows where we can come during set break, talk about how we're doing out here, how we stay clean during concerts and all that good stuff. It's a great way to stay clean.
Yeah, and they're saying the Serenity Prayer right now, just wrapping up the meeting. It's crazy. He's saying goodbye to some people and stuff, so. All right. Hey, nice meeting y'all. Okay. You want to be on the podcast? No, we're not live.
Oh, my God.
We're going to. There's Katie. The beautiful Katie, Jeremy's wife. We're going to play this on the Dare Me podcast. So say hi to everybody. Peace. All right. Got to run, y'all. They're about to start the show again. This is the intermission. So
I love you guys.
Hey, thanks for being on, Jeremy. Love you, bro. We'll talk to you later. Peace. Bye. All right. How cool is that? So, yeah, if you want to hear and see more of Jeremy and Katie, like I said, you go back and watch last week's edition, episode 19 of the Dare Me podcast, when we went live from right outside of Oracle Stadium in San Francisco, right before the very last Dead show. So it was just so cool bumping into them. And incidentally, by the way, I bumped into Jeremy at the Wharf Rats meeting in Detroit at Pine Knob. And here we bumped into each other at the one in San Francisco as well. It's just bizarre, man, how things happen in life sometimes. And anyways, okay, I'm looking at the video list. So, okay, these next two are actual performances in the show Saturday night, the night before the last one. And this is after I made my way down to, like I said, the ground level from up in the rafters. I just walked down there and I figured, damn, I'm just going to keep walking until somebody tells me, hey, excuse me, you can't go there. And nobody did. And I got all the way down to the bottom to this area where I would have actually, had to go onto the field. And there were, I guess what you'd call security guards there, and I just really didn't want to go down there anyway. I could see better being, a couple steps up. And so I recorded, a shit ton of video. I record all these videos at these fucking concerts I go to, and I never ever do anything with them. They're just taking up space in my phone and my hard drives and all that shit. And maybe every once in a while I go back and look at them. I usually post a clip or two, different shows. I got some buddies I follow, man, and we're like fucking obsessed with going to concerts. My boy John B and my boy Mark S, man, they're always going to shows. They go sometimes more than me, man, and we kind of follow each other's stuff. And my boy Tony, I just love when people go to shows and post videos and stuff. If I can't make it, it gives me a little feel like I was there in some way. So hopefully if you watch any of the stuff I post, you get a kick out of them too. But anyways, with all that said, we'll show two video clips. Two. This is from the Saturday night shows last weekend of Dead and Company in San Francisco. So, Dean, let's go ahead. They're not very long, but it'll give you a feel for what it was like there.
right. So there you go. That gives you a little feel for that. And of course, the guy singing there was the legendary Bob Weir, who is one of the original Grateful Dead players. The guy's got to be pushing 80 if he ain't already. So understandable that, they're winding down, performing as the Dead. But, I talked to some people in some videos you're going to see, from the second night. And a lot of people feel like, okay, they're saying it's the end of the Dead tours and them playing like they are, but the gathering of the people is just amazing. The one guy interviewed this dude, Bodie. He said that, it's like a family reunion, which I've learned it actually is for a lot of people that follow them all around, go around, follow them around the country and shit. And also, it's big business. There's big money in those shows that they put on, because you could see in the footage the stadium was really filled to the rafters. So a lot of people feel that in some way or some fashion, this gathering and the whole vibe and music will continue in some fashion. I just don't know how or whatnot, but I have a feeling that probably will continue on. So anyway, that was him singing, and you could tell that was a little more upbeat music. You could see the people dancing and shit, and boy, oh boy, do I got some good footage from the second night of people dancing, because it's quite humorous, actually, sometimes to watch them all. But they also had some really mellow music they played. Some of it was almost like Pink Floyd-esque, if you remember the old Echoes release going back quite a ways and all. But anyway, with all that said, Dean, let's play the next video, and I think you'll get a feel for that. The light show is awesome, too. A short video clip anyways, but it gave you a good idea of the light show out there and that whole thing. So anyway,
translate. So
what's that, Dean?
I guess the sound didn't come through.
Yeah, that I'm sure that was on my end with uploading it and everything, but it definitely, I think, gave a good example of the light show out there and all. So with all that said, y'all, that kind of wraps up that night. Went back for day 2. And just heads up, going into these shows, I had no tickets. I've been to so many concerts over the years, and certainly sometimes I buy tickets ahead of time. Like I had tickets ahead of time for the Claire show and all. I've also learned that sometimes you can save a few bucks if you wait literally right till the time of the show, because if you don't buy them directly from the box office or, the actual seat when they first get released, you're going to end up buying them from a reseller. And a lot of times, if it comes down to the wire for the show, they don't want to get stuck with them tickets. So even if you just wait till the day of, you can get them a little bit less. And certainly if you wait till an hour before the show, you'll get them even a lot less. That wasn't the case on the last night of that tour, man. They kept fucking going up, And so I, will certainly pay a decent amount of money to go to a concert I really, really want to see. The most I've ever paid for a concert ticket was $275. That's the most I've ever paid. I know people who've paid thousands of dollars to go see certain shows. I paid $275 to see the Stones at Ford Field in Detroit. The last time they played there in October of, I think it was 21 or whatever the hell. And you know what? My seat wasn't even that great. It was all right. It was like kind of way back in the corner. And I had a great time. Went with one of my sisters and a couple friends. And certainly I loved the show. It sounded great and all that. But I was like, God damn, man, $275. And, that Claire Rosenkrantz show, I paid $25. And I love her. I like the Stones. I'm a Stones guy. But $25 and I was 10 feet from the fucking stage and had, close to just as much fun, and so it's all kind of based on that to me. Is like I just can't justify paying $1,000 fucking dollars or $500 or whatever. Like I said, most I ever paid was $275 for that Stones ticket. Most of the shows I go to, I get a great price on the seats because I don't know. I've kind of learned in a certain way to work the system sometimes because I like going and have gone to so many different shows, you know. But like I said, without getting too caught up into that, that did not happen the last night of the Dead. And I think that had a lot to do with it being, you know, billed as the last show. And there were a shit ton of people walking around everywhere with a finger pointed in the air, meaning they needed a ticket. And a lot of people outside wanted to go in that just couldn't get a ticket or just, you know, either couldn't afford it or, like me, weren't going to pay what was being asked, because there were people selling tickets right up to the last hour for $600-700 and up. And I'm like, fuck that. I just ain't doing it. You know, the night before, I did pay $185. I paid $185, but the same exact seat 2 hours before the show was going for $250. And I waited till under an hour before the show, and I got it for $185. And I thought, yeah, you know what? It ain't going no lower than that. And so I snatched it up. I paid $185, and yeah, it was up in the rafters. But like I said, man, I walked all the way down to the front. And it's a lot to pay for a fucking concert ticket, in my opinion. I'll also say for me, that one was worth it. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I had so much fun. Anyway, going back to the second night. So I'm out there, and I decide to walk around because I was out there a little early, and I'm walking around, and they did start the show an hour early on Sunday for some reason, maybe because it was a work night, school night, whatever. They started at 6 instead of 7. And like I said, we did the podcast live outside, and they jammed for about an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours before the intermission while it's still light out, and then they come back and do an hour and a half or so in the dark. So I'm walking around, and I can hear the music outside the stadium, and I'm just taking in the whole atmosphere and everything else. And I came across this area where all these deadheads who were clearly regulars that follow the group around were gathering. And that's when I decided I ain't even going into this fucking concert. I'm staying right out here. I can hear the music great. I could see it on a screen. I could look through this gate and see the stage. And I had just as much fun, if not more, the second night being outside, vibing and partying with all the people that were there who were so cool and nice. Obviously the first night was great as far as seeing the show and the stage and the footage I showed. But that second night, man, as you're going to see in some of the video, it was so much fun. And I also truly felt like I was with some of the real ones, like the real deadheads who appreciated just that they were able to be there. So anyway, I really kind of went on about introducing the next night, which this will be footage of what that was billed as the very last Grateful Dead concert, or Dead and Company. Remains to be seen. We think somehow the gathering and the vibe of that kind of music may continue on, but technically this was truly the end of an era where it all started for that group, if you know, in San Francisco. I'm sure that was probably set up and designed that way, but anyhow, with all that said, Dean, let's go ahead and go into the next video, which is the Dead Show Outside, Day 2. Let's give it a look and a listen.
Okay, y'all, so we are outside of Oracle Park where the Dead Show is just getting started, and I just want to get some footage for next week's show. And you can see there's a wide variety of people here. We are literally right on the bay at the Grateful Dead, or Dead and Company show. And look at that, over on the other side of the water, we got a lot of people just vibing right on the banks of this little channel right here, listening to the music. So yeah, man, I just thought I'd share this for, again, next week's show. I'll kind of walk for a little bit and give you a little vibe of some of the people that are walking, about to go into the show here. It's a typical Deadhead and Grateful Dead type crowd. There ain't no doubt about that, y'all. So, anyway, all right. You get it. You get the idea. Probably hear the music a little better now. We're getting, because they are playing now. They just started not too long ago at all. And there's a lot of people here that are just here to vibe to the music outside that aren't going to go in. And certainly we're into that part of the crowd right now. I don't really think any of these folks are going to actually go inside. They're just outside vibing. You can see it's a party, man. This is a Dead show if you've never seen or been to one before, y'all. And when I was saying on the podcast how white people can't dance, this is a good example of what I was talking about. God bless all my fellow white people, but we can't fucking dance, y'all. This is what it's like at a Dead show. But they just feeling the vibe, I guess, man. It's not funky music dancing, it's Grateful Dead bluesy music vibe dancing, I guess you could say. So let's walk a little further into this crowd and see some more of these crazy white people dancing. All right, here you go, y'all. Oh yeah, this is definitely the spot where people come to watch the show from outside who are not going in. And you can see inside. Oh, there's the stage right there. You can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, you can actually see the stage. Look at that. So how cool is that? So yeah, man, these are the people vibing to the show outside. I guess this is definitely the spot you want to be if you're watching the Dead show from outside. And this party here that we just walked through, it's only going to get a little more crazier once it starts getting dark out. So, anyway, that's a feel for that, y'all. All right, talk to you later. Peace. It's crazy, man. All right, bye.
All right, so that's that. That's why it was still light out, and you may have noticed my friends Jeremy and Katie, they were kind of walking along that area with me as well. That was about when I decided, you know what? I think I'm just going to enjoy the show out here, because I literally was still checking Ticketmaster on the app. Right up till, the 11th hour, the show had already started. And I thought, you know what? Now the show started. Some of these people reselling, maybe they're just, trying to cut their losses, will drop the tickets. Maybe if I can get a ticket for $100, maybe fuck it, I'll go in. It wasn't the case, man. They were still asking $500, $600, $700, and the fucking show started. Crazy, and I was enjoying myself out there so much. I'm glad I stayed. And when you see one of these videos coming up, you'll understand even more why I'm so glad that I stayed where I did, because we could hear the music like great. I don't know how well you can tell from the video, but we could hear it just fine. And again, we could see they had these monitors where you could look through doors or windows and see the stage on the monitors, which was really cool. And you could even look through the gate if you wanted to look at the stage. But I was kind of taking it all in with the crowd. But as you're going to see, there's a video that we're going to show of one of those lighted drone shows. I had heard about them that a lot of different, organizations, cities, municipalities are trying to replace their fireworks shows, like at 4th of July and stuff, with these modern, lighted drone shows, because they're not as dangerous. And I had heard about it, but I'd never seen one, and they did one for the Grateful Dead show. And it was freaking awesome, y'all. And I'm sure you could see it from inside the concert. I'll also say, as you'll see from the video, I think we saw it from a unique perspective where I was just outside the gates with the whole crowd I was with. And that one's coming up in just a couple minutes, and I think you're really going to dig it. So let's go ahead now, though, and show this next video, and we'll be wrapping this show up, y'all, and probably like the next 15 minutes or so. I know we've gone a little bit long. We're a little over 2 hours now, but a lot of stuff that we're going over here today. And Dean, I really appreciate you hanging tough with us, bro. I hope you're enjoying the content as well. So let's go ahead and play. Looks like we have 3 videos left, so 3 clips left. This next one, it is a little bit longer. It's one of our longer videos. It's about 5 minutes, but it will totally give you the vibe of what it was like outside with a lot of the crew, the crowd there dancing and everything else. This is where I was standing next to one of the hot dog vendors. He was a really cool guy. So, Dean, let's go ahead and play that one. Dead Show Outside, Day 2-Roman numeral 2. And we'll talk again in a moment, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Peace again. Oh, God. This is such a fucking trip here. This Dead and Company Grateful Dead, a la Grateful Dead show. I'm standing here next to a hot dog guy. He's got the food. And you can see there's a total vibe going on over there. Everybody's looking through those gates. Right over there. I was trying to zoom in. It won't let me. Because I have it inverted, I guess. Anyways, I'm outside here, and you can see it is a beautiful night in San Francisco. And here in this little channel, there's lots of people pulled up on their boats to listen to the music. And I think you can see all those people sitting on the banks of the channel over there. There's like a bunch of, looks like tiki bars and things like that over there. And everybody's just listening. You are literally hearing the Grateful Dead play right now. And they just came back from their intermission. So this is the second half of the show. And yeah, man, lots of people. Let me see if I can go give y'all a better view. This is definitely the vibe here, y'all. It's happening. We'll see if we can see the stage is right over there. I don't know how much you're gonna see there, but anyway, I'm like right in the middle of this little gathering. You can definitely hear the music really good with this spot right here. And again, everybody's just partying, vibing, y'all. It's definitely a party. Crazy, ain't it? Yeah, sun's about to go down, bro. It's about to get a little bit more crazy here than it has been. But it's all good, you know. Everybody's having a good time. There hasn't been no trouble that I've seen. I'm sure some people get frustrated with different things, like, crowds. And there's really no, like, outhouses or restrooms or area to take a pee or anything around here, so that's got to be frustrating for some people. I've been really limiting any liquids because I didn't want to have to deal with all that. So now I'm kind of out of the main crowd down here a little ways, thinned out a little bit. But yeah, man, that's the vibe, you know. walk over to this fence, or this rail, I mean. And again, you can see that there's all kinds of people pulled up in this little channel on their boats, and a shit ton of people over there on the banks on the other side listening. I didn't go over there, but somebody told me I guess the music sounds a lot better over there, which makes sense because I guess it carries, but I ain't walking all the way over there. So anyway, yeah, y'all, just thought I'd show you where I'm at. So this footage will be played next week on the show. And man, look at up there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see my finger right up there. It's like the top stands where people are at. Yeah, right up there. It's cold up there, I'll tell you, man. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of chilly out here tonight, actually. It's probably about 60. It's such a trip, man. It's 109 degrees when I left Sacramento, and that's only like an hour and a half away. It's fucking cold over here, man. Yeah. But anyway, all right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap this video up, and I think I'm gonna go back down here and just vibe to the music for a while, and get right in the middle of this fucking crowd here. Like I said, everybody's being real cool. And it's definitely a Grateful Dead vibe, y'all. You get the idea. There you go. You on my podcast, bro. All right. So there you go, everyone. You see that it's fun. It's fun. All right. Peace. Bye.
All right, so there you go. That guy at the end, by the way, with the little hand on his finger, his name's Bodie. I did an interview with him that maybe we'll show on a future episode where he talks about how that, is truly like a family reunion for people who follow them around regularly. So anyway, I think them videos clearly give you the feel. It seems like I'm stuck on this word vibe lately. The vibe. I'm getting sick of hearing myself say it, All right, two phrases, mind your P's and Q's, and it's a vibe. So I'll try to stop doing that because I'm getting sick of hearing myself say it. But anyway, I mentioned the cool drone show, and I will tell y'all this is a 5-minute video too, and then we've got one last one that's about 1.5 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap up the show. So if you've never seen one of these, it's really, really cool. And I just thought we'd show the whole damn thing because not only is it one of those cool lighted drone shows, it also incorporated, I'll just go ahead and tell you, the Grateful Dead logo and the skull and the whole 9 yards. And you'll see it's really cool. And, of course, they had, music in the background to it. So let's go ahead and give it a look and a listen, Dean, and we'll come back and talk about it some more.
Check it out, y'all. How fucking cool is that? Oh my god. Here we are vibing to the Dead, and his fucking thing goes off. This is just way too fucking cool. Oh my god. Man, check it out. That was cool. Boom. That was cool. Oh, look, there's more. There's more. It's like one of them drone fireworks shows right outside the Dead show, and we are vibing. Look at this, man. The fucking crowd is just loving this shit. This is cool. This is my first time seeing one of these drone fireworks show. I've heard about them, but man, look at this. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I got a TV screen. I can watch the whole concert on right behind me. But I'm outside here listening to it with the rest of the crowd and watching this cool drone fireworks show. Man, this is so Here's one of the security people. She ain't gonna let me in though. She wanted to see this drone show. Isn't it cool, oh, look, it's the Dead logo. How fucking cool is that, y'all? Oh my God. Wow, I'm so happy to be here for this. I'm getting filled up, man. This is so fucking cool. Man. God damn, look at this. Everybody's just loving this. This is so fucking cool. Wow. Here's my friend Caitlin. Caitlin, say hi to the people.
Hey.
Wow. Oh, look at this. All the security people are coming out the door to check it out.
Sorry.
They won't let me in now. Wow. Very cool, man. I'm gonna run out of battery. I'm down to 4%. I've been filming so much stuff. I'm just gonna keep the camera on this thing for now and see what happens. Oh my God, way too cool. Yeah! Definitely unique to tonight. They did not do this last night. So, oh my God. Something I guess they decided to throw in for the last show. All right, I'm going to kill this video and try to go live on Facebook.
All right. And actually, I did go live on Facebook for, I don't know, about a minute after that. But how cool was that, y'all? That was so cool to watch that thing. And man, you know, it occurred to me while I was watching, I was thinking, if just something I thought I'd point out, if you were really paying attention to some of those videos I showed of walking through the crowd prior to that drone video, there's such a wide age group of people there. There were like eclectic group. There were people there with little kids. Even some of the dancers were like older people who were, clearly more in my age group, 60, maybe 70 years old. People, 20 somethings, 30, whatever, it's just a wide variety of age groups there, which was really cool. But anyway, I thought y'all might enjoy seeing that drone show. And as I said, they did not do that the night before. And so I think that was something they reserved for their final night. And it was really cool. the, I don't know if you call it technology, these lighted drones is certainly something that wasn't around when I was a younger man. It was the first time I saw it. It was really cool, man. I loved it, and like I said, I'm sure it was something everybody inside the stadium could see as well. I do kind of feel like we had a unique perspective from where we were outside. There weren't, walls or seats or whatever that, could have blocked our view in any way. And certainly the crowd I was kind of there hanging with was all really fun and cool. So with all that said, hope y'all enjoyed that video. We have one left. And I see we've had several viewers who have stuck with us this whole show, man. I really appreciate y'all hanging with us. And, oh, man, I haven't checked the chat in a while. Let's see. We got that boy Neela, he chimed in. He's over in the other room watching on the big screen probably. We'll get him back on the show again soon. But anyway, y'all, appreciate all y'all hanging with. And I hope you're enjoying the content, because let's face it, man, I've been showing a lot of videos. There's a couple times I was thinking, oh my God, this must be like watching fucking home videos for some people. Like, I ain't watching that shit. You ever go to a friend or relative's house and they're like breaking out the old pictures? There, let me show you pictures from my trip to Nantucket. And you're like, oh, Jesus. I hope this hasn't been like that. And I'll go in that just a little bit more when we wrap it up. But we do have one video left. It's a shorty. It's about 1:20. And to be perfectly honest, I don't remember exactly what's in it. I think it's just me kind of, trying to convey the atmosphere there near the end of the show, when everybody was kind of dancing and just listening to the music and stuff. So, Dean, let's go ahead and play that last video clip, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit and wrap up the show. One more video, y'all.
So, hey, y'all, here I am again. I just thought I'd get a little footage. We're getting near the end of the show. It's been fucking awesome. This has been the coolest spot and just weekend at this dead finale. Look at this spot I found, y'all. Everybody's just vibing. Just had this fucking awesome drone light show. And man, people are just dancing, having a good time. No stress, no worries. Talk about a Kuna Matata, man. It's been a great vibe here. I just thought I'd film another little feel for it, man. There's definitely some people tripping. There ain't no doubt about that. But you can tell, man, people are just having a good time, enjoying the very last Dead show. Right along the water on this side of the stadium. We can hear the music just fine. We can see it on the screen building here. So anyway, yeah, y'all, that's it. All right, peace. Bye.
All right, so there you go, everyone. That was your old pal Glenn Victor's trip to San Francisco last weekend. And you pretty much got the whole gist of it. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday too. And like I said, if you didn't catch it, you go back and watch last week's podcast, which we did live from outside the stadium. We didn't go very long because we wanted to take in the vibe of the show, and the connection was kind of, touch and go because it was real windy out. I think we went about, what did we go last week, Dean? About 35, 40 minutes on the show or whatever. It was a good podcast, all things considered.
Yeah, it was a quick show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a quick one compared to a lot of the others, including this one. So anyhow, y'all, with all that said, it occurred to me that I may want to just, explain because, for some of our followers, because, like I said, this is episode 20, and we do have a lot of regular viewers and listeners. I hear from people all the time who send me DMs and messages and things. And, you know, not to, you know, go into it too much again, but, you know, we do hear from people all over the country and even out of the country, overseas, into Canada, South America. And we get great feedback about what we're doing with the show, 20 episodes in. And as I shared earlier on this show, I kind of feel like I've strayed a little bit away from, you know, what the main purpose of this show is. Just like even, you know, when I was talking about going down into the Tenderloin district, you know, I went down there for a reason and I had a purpose in mind and I wanted to go down and see for myself if it was really as bad as everything we've been reading and talking about on this show in the news. That's not what the purpose of this show is. That me going down to a hood like that is not necessarily going to help anybody who's looking to stay clean. Maybe they see something like that, and it could be another deterrent for them to think, "Oh my God, I don't want to keep going at the pace I am. I could end up down in a fucking hood like that," you know. Or maybe you already have and narrowly escaped, like I narrowly escaped when they threw that fucking rock at me. You know what I mean? And even with all the videos I showed of the concert and everything, you know, I also thought, though, that especially for the Grateful Dead shows, it kind of tied into it all. Because, like I said, the Grateful Dead shows have had a reputation of drawing a lot of people, you know, again, going all the way back to the 60s and 70s, tripping on acid. And, you know, when you've been there, done that, whatever that means to you, you can spot it a mile away. And certainly there were a lot of people tripping at that show, some of which I'm sure were in some of those videos we saw dancing and all that other shit. I also thought it was relevant to the show, though, because we showed the Wharf Rats meeting. We talked a lot about the Wharf Rats. We talked about them on the live podcast we did there last week. And so I just thought it all kind of tied in together that, you know, if you're looking to stay and live clean and sober, you can even go to a fucking Grateful Dead show and you'll have other like-minded people there that you can meet up with who will be your cheerleader and encourage you and things to that nature. You can fucking do anything you want to once you get clean and sober. I talked with a couple of friends of mine that, man, once I got through that opiate withdrawal, holy shit, I feel like a fucking warrior, man. If I can get through that, I can do anything. And I really do believe that too, you know, because it was the worst experience of my life coming off of that shit. Thank God I don't have to live like that anymore. And so anyway, I guess where I'm going with that is, as we've talked about on this show, those hashtags that we put up at the top of the screen and all those, you know, those topics that are acronyms for the phrase "Dare Me," you know, drugs, addiction, recovery. We talk about that every episode of this show. Enlightenment, which we really didn't go in too much on this show, but there clearly were some people, you know, pursuing enlightenment in their own way at them Dead shows. But then music and exercise. We didn't talk a lot about exercise on this show, but we have devoted whole episodes to that topic and more to come because it's such a big part of recovery from addiction. And then, as I said, music. This show clearly had, you know, the majority of it to focus on the music with the Claire Rosenkrantz, the Mayro, the Ragnar Rosenkrantz, and then the Dead shows. And as I've shared on this program, and as others have too that have been guests on this program, music literally helped save my life. You know, I've been a music guy my whole life, man. As I said right when we started this program, going back to when I was a teenager. And when I got clean again, man, I had to find a passion again to really just dive into. And I've dove back into music. Is that the right way to say that? I've gotten back into music in a different way now. Like I said on the front end, I actually recorded an old Stones tune with my boy Bang last night, which is on my social media. It's out there on YouTube. Hopefully they don't pull it down because it's a cover, you know. It's just a cover. I'm not trying to monetize it, ain't claiming no ownership, nothing like that. But the point I'm making is I have this renewed passion for music, which is a healthy outlet for me, a healthy distraction, even, if you will, because most people who become addicted to any kind of drug, whether it's booze, pills, or anything else, will tell you that at times, no matter how long you've been clean, because I've been clean almost 2.5 years again, my thinking will still want to romance that shit sometimes. Still want to romance, well, man, there were good times. Maybe I can control it this time, or I'll just have one. There was never any one for me or for guys like me, people like me, I played that game with myself too many times, and I'm grateful I survived it. I don't need to play that game anymore, but my mind and my thinking will still romance it sometimes. And so, point I'm making is having that healthy outlet, whether it's going to the gym and working out, that's a healthy addiction. Making music or getting involved in even just listening to music and expanding your horizons, maybe listening to different genres, whatever it is, going to concerts and shows that you can clearly do clean and sober are healthy outlets. You can do anything you want to when you get clean and sober. And so, anyways, I feel like maybe I'm going into more of an explanation than I really need to on this topic, but I think you get where I'm going with it. Music is a big part of this show, and we obviously went into it quite a bit with this particular edition of the program. But it was all just part of this, live from San Francisco edition of the program. It feels good, to tell you the truth, to be back in the studio here. And especially when I think about my little trip down to the Tenderloin. I see Kelly just chimed in. What'd you write, Kelly? Looks like you had an awesome weekend and some awesome shows. Look like a blast. Well, thank you for again, participating in the show. Kelly's one of our regular viewers and listeners. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, Kelly. Hoping to go out to Las Vegas again in November and see another Keith Urban show that I know our friend Kelly is planning on going to. So anyway, more on that later. So yeah, y'all, you get the idea. This program involves information on all those topics, and I thought, what we did talking about Back from the Dead was, a good tie-in for the name of the show going over there. With all that said, y'all, I do want to say this about San Francisco. Don't let what you hear in the news scare you away. There's, just like any other big city, great parts and nice parts of San Francisco where, yeah, you just want to be alert of your surroundings and the time of day and all. You go down to the Fisherman's Wharf area and, Union area and all that kind of stuff. You go down to Chinatown, be careful. I wouldn't go down to the Tenderloin district, certainly not at night. And if you do happen to find yourself down there, just please be careful and be very, very careful about recording anything, because you saw what happened to me. And if you joined the show late, go back and watch the videos of me in that area, which I never should have been at that hour, 12:30 at night on a Friday night, and certainly shouldn't have been recording the way I was down there. Yeah, it was a wake-up call for me. So anyway, with all that said, I'm going to bring it full circle now. Man, like I said earlier, we got a bunch of people that we want to have as guests on the show that I'm hoping to get all lined up soon. There's a lot of work putting this all together. And speaking of, I want to send a big shout-out to our boy Dean Baker, who's been a rock star again today. There he is, all the way over on the East Coast in Orlando, Florida. We kept you up late tonight, Dean, because we got a little bit of a late start and loading all them videos. And, man, we played every single one in the exact order they were supposed to be played. So, Dean, I just want to say thank you again, while we're on the air publicly to you, sir, for everybody to see and hear that I really sincerely appreciate everything you do to keep this show going the way we have so far. 20 episodes in now, bro. So
20, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, Dean, anything you want to add before we wrap up? I just, even just a short, maybe comment on all the content. What'd you think of all the video? Because I know, it was your first time seeing them too.
I know I missed an opportunity. I know The Dead was playing when I was up in Philadelphia last month. The Dead was playing the day I was there. I met people that were going to the concert.
Yeah.
And I didn't connect it that it was the end of an era. I've never seen the Dead, but I was a fan. Anyway, seemed like it was a great show.
It was a lot of fun. And of course, also, I got to say, the Claire Rosenkrantz and Mayro shows too. And it was so cool, getting them shout outs from Claire's dad, Ragnar, and Mayro as well. We're going to have to start accumulating them shout outs, man. We got that one from Billy Bob Thornton. And so we got a few now, and we'll see, man. We'll start getting some more and putting some reels and stories out there with all the high profile people giving us a shout out. We got to go back and get one from Salvaggio, the Orlando Magic fat guy. We forgot to get one from him when he was a guest on the show. So anyway, with all that said, y'all, want to thank you so much for your support of this program. We really sincerely hope you enjoyed the content today. And if you're a person that is struggling with addiction, you're going through it, you're looking for a way out, you're hoping to get clean and sober, we hope that any information we've shared on this show might be inspiring to you. Again, this was kind of a focus on the whole weekend over in San Fran, with the message still there underlying. We go a lot more in depth on all this stuff about, recovering from opiate withdrawals and other drug addiction in a lot of our previous shows. And they're all there on the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel and the other platforms. Like I said, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Threads now and all the things. So we're out there on a lot of different platforms, but I always try to steer people to that Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel, because I actually oversee that one, and I try to keep it real uncluttered and organized and up to date and all. I got a couple I still need to go in there and tweak. But anyhow, we hope that at the very least we've helped you kill some time with some good positive input and content. If you're a person that comes across the show is trying to get clean and sober, and if you're living clean and sober, we hope certainly that we've provided some content that you find enjoyable as well. And so, as we often say on this show, if you are a person struggling and you're going through hell, keep fucking going. You will come out the other side. If I can do it, certainly you can do it. And with all that said, we'd like to thank you again. And Dean, thank you as well. We'll talk to you next week on the Dare Me Podcast. So long, everyone.
Good night, everyone.